Hello.
Hello, Internet.
Hello.
Hey everyone, welcome. We are in the middle of devising a strategy for what we will do in regards to stopping the Zentarum invasion or hampering it anyway. We have several options on our plate. Though all roads do seem to lead either through Voonlar and Teshwave and probably ultimately end up at either Hillsfar or somewhere in Anarok. We are still a fair bit uncertain. We might head through Dagger Falls, we might not. We might stop at Castle Daggerdale, we might not. But we are currently devising a strategy for which to destroy the Goblin Fort. The key question on our plate at this point, I believe, is whether or not we deal with Voonlar first.
Is Boonlar closer to us than anything else?
Yes, because we're in Shadowdale. Voonlar is just up the road, 23 feet. No, it's a little bit further than that.
I was gonna say that's 23
Pretty
feet.
close.
Damn.
So yeah, here it is up here, 80 miles away, which is not that much further than Dagger Falls, isn't it?
For efficiency's sake, it does seem to make sense to hit Boonlar first, then the Goblin Fort, then circle back round to Dagger Falls.
I mean, that's fair.
But getting our shit together at Dagger Falls first. Well, Castle Daggerdale. Because we also, I think we haven't headed there yet, but we also sent all of our forces back. In case we need those forces, I'd want them handy.
So we sound like we're no closer to a decision then.
So, Castle Daggerdale? Anyone? Go home?
It takes us the other direction, though. That's the thing.
Do you want to try to take on Voonlar, which has double its population and military force, with just the 5 of us? 4 of us? 5 of us?
I guess it depends on what our operation is. If we're declaring war on Voonlar and marching an army in, that's quite different to sending up a group of terrorists, namely ourselves.
Yeah, we've got the Iron Vultures with us still, don't we?
No, we sent them back.
Yeah,
we
we
sent
sent them
them
to
the. In that case, we do it the other way around. We can move up to Daggerdale, then Daggerdale to Castle Daggerdale, and then to Dagger Falls, and then circle up the Tesh Trail to Goblin Fort, and then hit Voonlar left. So instead of going around, counterclockwise, we go around clockwise.
The whole point of hitting Voonlar, though, was to make sure they can't hit us when we're taking the Goblin Fort.
Oh.
Because taking the Goblin Fort will cause immediate reaction from Teshwave, and we don't want reaction from the other side, Voonlar, at the same time.
Well, in that case, then I suppose we can just deal with the extra time it's going to take to go to the castle and then back up towards Voonlar.
I mean, if y'all want to go with just the 5 of us, by all means, that's cool. I just personally, I'd rather be safe than sorry, and have, in case shit goes horribly wrong, I want forces to back us up.
Makes sense. So
Yeah,
what exactly is the plan with Voonlar? Like, the Goblin Fort is pretty cut and dry. It's kill everybody, kill everything. But what about Voonlar?
I think that's going to be sabotage until we can move, until it's like basically sabotage as much as possible, send their fucking people into disarray, think it's just going on the inside, and then have a simultaneous attack come on the outside when we're ready. I think the 5 of us should, or at least people proficient in Super Snack stuff, basically sabotage on the inside, and then agreed upon signal have a simultaneous attack, because the only way we're going to be able to take out a force this big is mostly guerrilla tactics, and then have, while everything's like going haywire on the inside, like we did on Gundarak Hill, attack from the outside at the same time.
What do you suggest in terms of sabotage? Like, what are we going to do?
I know that there was a listed. Let me actually pull it up. So, where's the list? Did I exit out of it?
The Goblin Fort list, or the TESHDALE battle plan.
The Voonlar. Did we do a Voonlar one, or am I mistaken?
There is none. No.
Okay.
Voonlar report. We haven't. We don't have spies in Voonlar that we're aware of.
Okay, so I guess we have to identify a, because most likely a force that big does have explosives on hand. Basically, see as much stuff as we can sabotage as possible, blow something up, and then while everyone's wondering what the heck's going on, attack from the outside.
Oh, we could like poison their wells.
But there's also people living there. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd restrict civilian access to explosives and shit like that and keep them as far away from it as possible.
If
Do
we
we
get
know
into
if
the
the
garden
military
room, we can like
force-
poison the food then.
True. Do we know if the military force is like camped outside of the settlement or whether they're within it?
Sure, that would be.
We don't know a thing. I don't believe. Yeah, we don't know a thing. But in that regard, you might say, well, isn't it easy to gather information on a town that's 50, 100 miles away? The answer to that is not as easy as you might think, because traders have not been coming down recently, so there's no one to gather the intelligence. You might want to send up a single person, perhaps. You could send up Edwin Greenway in animal form to be a mangy dog or something, or send up someone invisible. You might want to go as the group, you might not. Yeah, so the point I'm trying to make, I suppose, is that we don't have information, and because we don't have information, we don't even have an objective.
Well, in that case, I think the only option is to go as a group, and then before we even enter the town, we could have Edwin turn into a bird, and then gather some recon for us. And then once we figure out what we're dealing with, we can go from there.
Yeah, I was going to say I can also polymorph me, and I think someone else has polymorph the spell at least as well. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
can you polymorph and beast shape at the same time?
Yep.
Okay, so we can technically have 3 people go in as small critters, cover as much
True.
as possible.
I think when you polymorph, though, you get the intelligence value of the animal you polymorph into.
Owls are smart, right?
I'm not smart enough to count.
The
I can't do
exception
math.
being the druid's wild shape. I'm sure druids
Yes.
retain their mental scores.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I guess Edwin would be the best for that. I want to get when we long rest a spell that can make me look like whatever they look like.
Disguise self.
Like seeming.
Yeah. Yeah, disguise self. Plus I can go invisible I have greater invisibility, which it doesn't last that long, but it's good enough to get me out of a sticky situation if need be. And plus, I think that would be better suited for when it's time to do sabotage. If there's anything at all, if it's not just hearsay or exaggeration to what's going on. Yeah, I think Edwin is going to be our intel gatherer, and then I guess he and I can be saboteurs as well when it's time.
Sounds good.
Sure.
So for the
Alright,
time being, to the castle.
we might as well. Let's head on over.
All right. All right. Dahlia, would you roll a D100, please?
Right.
Uh-oh.
Oh, before I roll it, the staff of
Yeah.
healing. Just remembered.
Staff of Healing. Does
Does
anyone have
anybody-
the data on it? Otherwise, it's in the compendium.
Yeah, I've got it right now. But you're welcome to it. I might ask for the either rod or cloak that I gave Roz back, but if everyone wants to make that switch, it's fine with me.
Right.
Who ended up with the cloak I had? Because I have the displacement cloak now.
The only
Maybe me?
magic item I've got is Staff of the Master.
That one too.
Because I have a cloak
Okay.
of protection now.
Right. Okay.
Can you wield both staves?
Good question. I don't know. It'd be a
As long
bit
as you can
awkward.
attune to them, you can. It is very awkward, but as long as you can attune to them, then there's nothing in game from stopping you. It's a bit
This
weird
one
to have
is
two
my
staffs.
boomstick. This one is my heel stick.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a logistical challenge of carrying them. That's
It's like two walking sticks. It's like your
Oh.
ski sticks for cross country skiing. Like it's fine.
like having a broom in one hand and a mop in the other. It's odd, but it's not impossible.
Well, I can trade you the Staff of the Master if you want, unless you already have a stave or something of similar.
Well, I've got a dancing scimitar, so I was already in kind of an awkward two-weapon position myself.
Gotcha.
What about Raz? You got a staff?
I have the Rod of Alertness and a Wand of Magic Missiles.
Alright, then I guess dual wielding staffs it is. If you're willing to part with it.
Yep.
And whose armor was I making +1 every day?
Not sure.
Was it Nubils or was it Edwin's?
I think it was Edwards because I wasn't told anything.
That's right.
I don't think it was me, but you're welcome to it.
Yeah, it's like my level 1 feature. Now that I have +1 armor and a +1 weapon, I can't use it on anything I'm using anymore. So
Okay.
at the beginning of the day, I basically bless it and it acts as a +1 magic item.
Cool.
Alrighty then, so that D100, here it comes. Interesting.
Oh dear.
I think we've rolled that one before if we're going off the same sheet that we were before.
Oh shit! No. Let's see. Yeah, we have.
Is it the wizard one again?
It was actually something that we avoided, but it can't be repeated, so it's no encounter.
Okay.
Edwin, could you roll a D100, please?
Yeah, Dahlia, you failed us all.
Well, no
No,
encounters,
Dolly
then
has always had the interesting ones.
77.
All right. One of the purposes of these encounters is to kind of demonstrate the growth that we've had as player characters, as previously challenging situations become far less pressing. So feel free to ignore any encounter. You don't have to have you don't have to have them if you don't want. Anyway, Edwin, you will notice that as we travel along, we're getting closer to Castle Daggerdale. You will hear the incessant buzzing of bees. You'll notice, being a druid as you are, you'll notice an uncanny number of bees buzzing around. They're a relatively common insect, of course. They're almost universal, but the number around here is bizarre.
Are there always this many bees around here?
Not that you're aware of.
Hey, you're the druid, you tell me.
Seems unusual to see this concentration of them anywhere they're not being farmed.
Being? So
Well, can't you inquire with them through some means?
I don't have any ability to speak with them right now.
Fair enough.
Although I think, yeah, Nubble might be able to.
Yeah, I can speak to animals. Do bees count as animals? I'm not.
they do. In 3rd edition, they were called vermin, but fortunately, we're not so racist anymore, and we recognise the insects as part of the animal kingdom.
I'll use my class feature to speak with animals.
Must gather pollen, must serve the queen.
Hello, bee.
Hello, we are serving the queen, gathering pollen.
Yeah, you look like you're very busy, but like there are a lot of you. Like, why there are a lot of you now?
There are a lot of us because there are a lot of hives nearby.
Oh,
But our hive is the best.
I mean, obviously, but I mean, like, did anyone put it there?
Yes.
Oh, do you remember like what they looked like?
It was a farmer, but they're gone now.
Well, that's sad, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't think so. He used to take all of our honey, but now there's no one to take our honey.
Oh, so now you have all the honeys.
That's right. All the honey. We are overflowing with honey.
So
Honey farmer died.
What will you do when you don't have any honey? When you don't have anyone to put the honey?
We will build new hives and raise new queens and make new colonies, and then we will wage war on those colonies.
I mean, I don't want to make you look bad. You should get back to work.
Okay. Coffee break's over, guys.
Goodbye, bee.
He just hears the groans of other bees like setting down their tiny coffee cups.
Did you tell them to buzz off?
Aww. Well, next time. Yeah, apparently a farmer put the beehives up, but the farmer's gone.
Could be an opportunity to snag a new business for the castle.
I was about to say the same thing.
So we can make
Honey
like
making
candles.
business.
Candles,
That is a
collect
thing.
honey. Yeah.
Wax, honey, what beeswax is used for so many things.
And
Honey also never goes out, never expires, basically. So it's a stable food source.
all we'd need to do is capture a queen or a number of queens and then set up a hive where we want them, and the rest of the hive will follow.
Or we can smoke a hive and then carry the entire thing. Instead of trying to just fish a queen out, we can smoke the hive, make them all sleepy, and then throw them in a box and take them back. Once the queen and everything realize that the hive isn't attached to a tree anymore, they'll move it automatically.
We may want to look at their setup to see what kind of hives the farmers had made.
I'd say just follow the hives because they usually just branch out from where they came from.
Is that a plan then? We want to investigate these
Yeah.
this unusual concentration of bees.
We want to track the bees.
Yeah.
All right. I'll take that as a decision. And it's not hard to wind your way back to the bees. You soon enough you find a trail, an overgrown trail, and it leads to a farmhouse. The farmhouse appears to have been burned down to the ground, razed. There's nothing left of it, just some charred timber and maybe some limestone concrete foundations. Very little less left. Anything as valuable as a spade or a shovel or even a bag of nails has been long since taken by someone else. But ironically, whoever sacked this place didn't see the real treasure, the bees. Honey being a rather expensive commodity at 5 gold pieces a pound. And there are lots of beehives. Edwin, could you roll 3d4, please? So there are 8 beehives. There was 6, but they've since created 2 of their own. 6 freestanding beehives, and then 2 that are attached to large elms, big trees. But this many bees is kind of hazardous. Now we're big, tough adventurers, and so we probably don't really fear getting stung by a bee. But there are a lot of bees. They certainly number in the thousands, in the tens of thousands. That's so that might draw some concern for you, particularly since Edwin, as a druid, you would well know that people don't know that they're allergic to bee stings until they get stung.
True.
Fire.
And when there's 10,000 bees around, you don't usually get stung once.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, there you are, looking into this farmstead. It's overgrown, as you can probably imagine. The fence has fallen down, the buildings have burned down, even the outhouse has collapsed. But the real golden treasure, the beehives, is in the middle of the backyard, and they are busy.
Liquid gold. Did the farmhouse seem to have burned down so long ago that it's not even relevant to even check up on it, like see what caused it and everything?
Make an insight check, I suppose, to answer that. The expert at burning things down just doesn't know.
You know what? I am going to burn my inspiration on knowing what the fuck fire do. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. It's been
14.
at least a month. Yeah, it's been at least a month and probably multiple months since it burned down. It being not far from the road, it's likely that half a dozen people have picked through the remains already.
And no one took the bees.
Someone took the bees.
Fucking casuals.
How much property do you own around Castle Daggerdale? Are we so close that we could just claim this area for ourselves and just set up people here to start tending to the bees?
I mean, that might be almost a better idea.
Yeah.
Bees
There
look
is one
wild though.
Yeah. There's one geopolitical problem with that idea that Edwin had, and that's that this is Shadowdale. Like, Shadowdale is not just a town; it's a region, and where exactly the line is completely arbitrary. Completely arbitrary. But if we were to claim it for Dagger Falls, then it wouldn't be so arbitrary anymore, right?
Yeah, we'd establish a line that no one's
Yes.
claimed before, basically.
Right. The line is currently here at Castle Daggerdale because no one from Shadowdale is going to try to invade Castle Daggerdale. But if we claim this land, then that makes a line. So whether that's good or bad, who knows? Shadowdale and Daggerdale are good allies. But I just thought I would bring that up as something that is worth mentioning.
And I guess it will mean whatever burnt it down before might just come back and do it again.
We do have rolling hills right outside of Castle Daggerdale and especially if the town's going to be expanding, we'd want the trade to come as close to home as possible because how businesses work, you put all the businesses near each other because no one goes to a mall knowing what they're going to buy. They just go in and buy random shit. So I think it'd be better to like at least put it closer to us, especially because like no one has claim on these. Obviously, they've gone wild. There's plenty of rolling hills all around that we can put a bee farm in, and no one would be bothered by it. If you know what I mean. Stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I want to put as little dispute as possible. Like what would take more time would be, I guess, simpler, but more time consuming is be like, hey, Shadowdale, we're taking this. Hope you haven't had any claim to it. And you're like, oh no, this was my great grandpappy's land, so it's technically ours and shit like that. So I just feel like we should move it closer to home, and we have plenty of space for it, especially if we're going to be growing the semblance of our own town around the castle.
Hmm.
I mean, should we ask the bees what they want?
Fuck them, fuck them, fuck them.
We can still
Maybe
speak
if
to them,
some want
because-
to, maybe if one hive wanted to voluntarily come with us and start a new greater hive.
Are they intelligent enough to have free will, or I'm pretty sure they just procreate and that's it.
I mean, how often do you speak to the bees?
Have at it, my friend.
Oh, like right now?
Yeah, ask if the queen wants to be moved to a separate place.
How do you even approach a beehive?
Hey, it's your boy.
Uh, hey, bee.
Hey, BB.
You busy?
Hey,
Hey, baby.
I guess you just walk up and ask one of the flying bees. It's like, oh, can I speak to the queen?
Can't work. Too busy working.
They'll ask the next one, can I speak to the queen?
Too busy working.
Maybe slowly make your way up to the hive.
Oh God.
10,000 conversations later.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like, can I speak to the queen? Busy, one step closer. Can I speak to?
They won't let you speak to the queen. The queen is sacrosanct, and she is, inside the hive. So she is busy making babies and making love. She is too important to be disturbed. But a bee that isn't a drone. I know that there are soldier bees and drone bees, and maybe there's like administrator bees, like mandarin bees.
A government.
That's
Sure, we'll
it.
go with that.
Yeah. That's right. One of the mandarin bees will speak to you. Hello, time is money. What do you want? Time is honey. Time is honey.
I was gonna say you'd said that wrong.
Time is
Yeah,
honey.
but my friends want to know if you want to move the hive somewhere nicer.
Thinks about it for a while and says, "Yes, the amount of pollen in the region is deteriorating. There are so many bees that that it makes it harder and harder for us to find our pollen. So yes, you should move the enemy hives
Why can't I move your hive somewhere with more flower, with more pollen?
because our hive belongs here."
Then their hive will be bigger because they have more access to free pollen.
Do you put it that way?
That's not a noble. Sorry, I'm just throwing a suggestion.
Exactly.
I guess I'll translate that through then.
Noble, make a persuasion roll.
Joke's on you. My
Like, type
persuasion
them
is
on.
decent.
Oh,
22.
Oh, damn.
That would be a sweet idea.
Sweet as
I
honey.
thank you.
All right. So the Mandarin goes and discusses it, and as it turns out, the Queen doesn't have a lot of say in these sort of things. She's just kind of like a baby maker. They all serve her, but it's not unlike the Queen of England, I guess. Parliament makes all the decisions, and the Queen just gives it the rubber stamp. So yeah, these bees are willing to be relocated, but they are extremely concerned that transplanting them is going to be dangerous. They trust you with your 22 persuasion. They are willing to go along for the sake of empire, but what is going? They want to know what the process is.
Got some colonialist bees.
Exactly.
Maybe tell them all to gather within the hive, and we'll transport them to Xanadu.
I know how to do it, but I don't know if Roz knows how to do it, and I don't know how I can argue that Roz will know how.
Raz has got he's smarter than you, isn't he, Raz? Or is he not? Is his intelligence low?
uh,
I mean, 8 is only like slightly below average.
he's a city boy that had a basic education, but
You can still give the idea anyway. Like that's
When,
fine.
when it comes to
Yeah.
stuff like that, I usually just give the idea, but like lessen, like not the entire thing,
Okay.
to make it a bit vague.
So we can smoke them and make them sleepy, and that way we can put them into a crate or something, the entire hive.
Flint
and
offers you
then-
some opium. He's got like pounds of the shit. Will this do?
Opium.
Uh,
I mean, they agreed to move.
Nah.
Why do we need to knock them out?
To make it safer, because bees aren't smart and they'll attack anything. Like even if we're equating some kind of human intelligence, the soldier bees will still attack us. The worker bees will still
human
attack us.
intelligence. Are you assuming that other races aren't intelligent?
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Moving right along.
Damn, bro. Go back to Hillsfar.
yeah, I did grow up in a racist town. But anyways, basically smoke the bees and transport them safely, and then put a really prime area with like a little box basically where you put a lot of food for them, and the queen bee will basically go to that box. We'll basically force them and the queen bee into that box, and everyone else will follow.
The hive
Well,
we're
put
dealing
it
with,
around the farms.
is like
Put it around the farms and increase yield.
Yes, good.
You said what?
Like the one that we got is like one of the like freestanding boxes, or is it one of the tree hives?
Yeah. No, it's a freestanding box. Yeah.
Okay.
A beehive.
So we can just smoke it, seal it, and carry it on its post, basically. And that's that. And then I know we have semblance of farms going on at home, and we can even argue that this would increase yield because we have pollinators in the area. But yeah, basically smoke a few hives, or 1 or 2, or however many y'all want, seal it up, and carry it on its post back. Access to Panic Club with Swarm Attack.
Who's proficient with attacking with a beehive?
Probably only you.
We need a tournament with it. Yeah. So plan is we're going to basically there's plenty of trees around. We can get I forget what the basic little pieces of wood are for starting kindling. We could basically put kindling outside the small little doors to the beehives, smoke it, wait for the buzzing to die down, seal it up, and carry it.
Anyone got a better plan, or are we going to go with this?
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Flint gathers the sticks and he puts a little bit of opium on them to get the bees, really, really dopey.
Are we going to kill the bees? Just give them all an overdose at once.
That's it.
Roz also has control flames, so he can snuff it out as soon as it starts. If it tries to spread further than what we're
He
trying.
can keep it from getting out of control, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. This will be a survival or a nature check. Someone is going to have to take responsibility.
I have 2 to nature and 0 to survival. So anyone else want to take that?
Yeah, I can take that.
I give you
Alright,
guidance.
no worries.
The
Uh,
the blessings from the blessings of
Garden from the
Gond for the
good call.
the constructed hive.
It probably won't help too much anyway, since guidance only lasts for a minute, and we're basically going to have to be carrying it the entire way.
Fair
But the
enough.
DC is it's not so high anyway. Edwin, this works, but you do get stung. That's an inevitability when you don't have a proper beekeeping suit. So roll a percentile chance, a D100, as we find out if you are allergic to bees. You are not allergic to bees.
Hey,
Hooray. All right. Okay. You know now, this is the first campaign I've ever seen where we now have a party member literally carrying a beehive for 10 miles. So congratulations on first.
We may have to make several trips.
We might.
Yeah. Do we just want the one?
I think if we've got one, they'll proliferate on their own.
Alright.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
Once they
maybe
fill it with
depends
honey,
on
they
how much,
just go make a new hive.
depends on how much
Now,
farmland.
before bees become the dominant predator in the area, should Roz burn enhance the rest of the beehives? Or at least most of them.
Our druid can tell you they eat pollen, so they're not really predators.
That's not very nice. I mean,
I mean, just they're so prevalent that nothing can move a muscle without being stung, because bees are assholes. Okay, if anything moves
Nah, but
within
honeybees are
like
fine.
Yeah.
They're not yellow jackets. They're not like hornets, but yeah. It's when you get within a certain range of their hive, then it becomes an issue. But like for the most part,
Yeah.
they leave you alone.
I'm just trying to make sure that bees don't overrun this clump of trees here to the point where nothing else can live here. Basically.
I think they're okay to let them do their own thing.
I mean, if
Okay.
it's take them or kill them, I'd rather take them.
Okay. It's been a month and they had 2 new hives, but okay, it's good. Yeah. Let them be. So yeah, we have two-handed club with swarm attack. Now, I'm sure someone in the region knows how to do bee stuff. No, that's another thing. We need a beekeeper.
Yeah, if we have farmers and they can, do it by, how do you say it, by trial and error. If you wanted to get a certified beekeeper, I'm not sure where we're going to find them.
Okay. Yeah, I guess trialing it, because it's not that hard. I know someone who has a bee farm. They literally mostly take care of themselves, and you just have to clear the sheets every once in a while.
Yeah. Gathering the honey is the only real challenge.
And then they would just wear a bee suit or smoke the hive, depending on stuff.
Preferably both. Okay, so we gather up our honey and we march down to Castle Daggerdale. There we find our troops waiting for us. They give a hip hip hurrah at our return, at our arrival. However, there is some disgruntlement. It seems that the Tengu, our spy, Sharam or something, is a little bit agitated that he has been overlooked for a position of authority. Where is he? Trying to find him, I can't find him.
My direct argument to him would be, as a sellsword, we can definitely one, he can't be trusted with a very high, because the other two that we had appointed have leadership experience. This guy is a guy who was in the trees in the woods while we were training, so he can take it up with the Castellan and say that he'd like to be leader of the scouts or something of the such, and move from there.
All right. So you're going to delegate this decision making to someone who you've already appointed into a position.
Who would make this kind of decision? Yeah.
But give them like a look. We don't want to start you at the top. We'll have you. We'll see how you do with a smaller thing, and then move you up later.
Yeah, the other two have proven themselves already, both in their own respect and working with us. You jumped out of a tree one day and said, "Hey, I'd like to help you out," but with no leadership experience.
Oh, I have been gathering information for you in your. I compiled the TESHDALE report.
And as I said, you can negotiate with the castellan. With your experience in that, you can see if he will allow you to lead the scouts. So you are in a leadership position, but not in charge of a castle.
Very well, Master. I shall apply for this new position.
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
I mean, that was to the Birdman.
Yes. Who are you? Have you met this guy before?
Nope.
Who are you, honorable traveler?
I'm Nubble. It's nice to meet you. Because do you want to be like leading or actually scouting? Because it sounds like you enjoy scouting.
I am an excellent scout. My eyesight is beyond compare, and my ability to fly makes me superior to land-based beings.
Because if you become like a leader, you'll have like less time to do scouting. Like, is that not what you want? Like, enjoy doing?
Honorable traveler, I will do whatever my lord asks. I have been a Ronin for too long, and I wish to serve, that I may be called samurai again.
Okay, I was just curious.
I do like that he's like 40 years older from the last time we talked to him. Also, I want to ask, what do Nubble and Edwin think of our castle that they've never seen before, that they've only heard great stories about?
It looks very fancy, but why are there lots of frogs?
They help guard the moat. We decided to leave them be. They'll eat anything that falls in.
Yeah.
Including you, so don't get too close.
Yeah.
How many people are milling about?
Oh,
The
what a lot.
information is here somewhere. Mark was taking care of that, so let's see if we can find where his notes were.
Did we say at least 800 at this point or something like that with families?
I don't think it's that big, but I'm not sure. I'll see if I can find the info.
With the Tengu, it looks like he's wearing like denim overalls. Like the one on the battle plan.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can find at the moment. Maybe it was meant to be updated or something. It never has been. I'm not sure.
Yeah, because the the Iron Vultures aren't on there.
Yeah, and here's the Iron Vultures. So I just don't think it's been updated anytime the last few months. Servants and Mercenaries. This is it. Here it is. There it is.
Yeah. Castle Labor Force. Did we say we had those guys?
Plan for
You
them.
did, yeah.
Okay.
One fucking stone giant.
Yeah. And also, are we accounting because these guys are working for us full time? Basically, the families of all these people.
Yeah. Like you can count those. I think they fall under small folk, maybe. Yeah, orcs and half orcs and humans. So that must be the families of Iron Vultures. Yeah, look under small folk. 471 of them. Huge amount.
Where is it on the Iron Vulture side?
It's not on the Iron Vultures. It's here in Servants and Mercenaries. Small folk.
Oh, okay.
Can you see the thing that I've shared?
Oh yeah, I see it now.
Yep. Cool.
So it's that plus anyone that has answered our while we haven't sent it out to many places, we're planning on it. anyone that has answered our plea for gold, basically. No.
Cool. Well, let's update that now. So we brought with us 5 weavers, I think, or
we have the
people.
loom now.
Yeah, we have the loom, and that
Mm.
brought with us. Look, we'll say 5 weavers, and there was a dyer. There was a flag maker. I can't remember. Gee, this is
Taylor,
hard to
I
remember.
think.
One tailor.
Yeah.
Anything else that people remember? Dyer, a tailor. Maybe one leather worker.
Yeah. Plus their families.
Yeah, plus their families. So these are the people we brought with them. Each of them can bring, just for the sake of simplicity, 4 people on top of themselves. So if you want to take care of that. And Raz, go ahead and roll 10d10 to see how many additional people have been drawn out of the hills to sanctuary of this burgeoning
Don't
town.
we have 36 eggs and a nursemaid?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. 36 lizard eggs and a hermaphrodite.
$75.
Oh,
I think that's great for 10d10.
Yeah, it's pretty high. Does anyone want to take responsibility for this chart now that Mark's gone?
I think that was actually supposed to be me that I didn't do
Go ahead.
over the week.
You'll if you want to do it now, there's no better time. If you want to wait and then inevitably postpone it and lose the data, that's also fine. Totally fine with me. In either case, I will bring up the price that they are going to cost. It requires a small amount of mathematics, but not much. Economics and trade. No, that's not it. Wages. Where is wages? Photo discoveries. Dallas Council. Service and mercenaries. No property. Livestock vehicles. I'll find it. Wages. Sure, that's what it's called. Notice boards. Yeah, it's in notice boards. It's probably the wrong place to put it. Might move it. Yeah. So, Raz, do you want to make those adjustments now, or would you like to leave it for some other time?
I'm working on it.
Cool. All right. So while he works on that, is there anything else that the rest of you wish to address?
Do I get a bedroom in the castle? I guess I'll see
It's not a very it's not a very big castle, and it's also in ruins, although we are rebuilding it, and the stone giant is really helping in that regard. But as you can see, it's not particularly large. If you did, you could have your own cave underneath the ground. All you got to do is clear out the giant scorpions.
Double can live with the scorpions.
Perfect.
suppose Edwin hasn't actually seen it yet, but what is this torture chamber looking thing down here?
It's a torture chamber.
All right.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Oh, I didn't see that
That
part of
was-
the map.
To be fair, that was here when we got here. So
Yeah, you just left the blood in the
You're
body.
like,
you
sure,
think it's part of
sure.
the aesthetic.
Actually, so everyone knows what it is. Yeah, the story of this place, for those of you who weren't here, so Castle Daggerdale was burned down about 45 years ago when the Zentarum invaded Dagger Falls. They decided not to claim the castle; they just razed it. to prevent insurrections, because they never really wanted Dagger Dale. They only really wanted Dagger Falls, and they only wanted Dagger Falls because they want a trade route that links Zental Keep all the way to the Sword Coast, places like Waterdeep. Okay. When we came here quite recently, we discovered that the Yuan Ti had teamed up with some gun-toting Duergar, literally, and the Duergar, the deep Underdark dwarves, had some kind of trade relationship with the Rundine, who are the Yuan Ti. Big words, but don't worry too much about it. Snake people, for want of a better term, a snake people corporation, in more particularly. And this snake person corporation, which is the Rundine Yuan Ti, they were selling stolen goods mostly. They would hit caravans. They would take and outlying farms, take their stuff, bring them to Duergar, and as it turns out, things like grain and fruit and potatoes have an extremely high value in the Underdark, where you can't grow grain and potatoes and vegetables. So they were basically paying a premium for these surface for the produce. We came along and wiped them all out. We are now the legal owners of this place. It technically belongs to Randall Morn, the Lord of Dagger Falls, Daggerdale, but because it's a feudal system, the Lord owns everything anyway, and he's given it to us because he doesn't really want it. It's more, he's 75 years old. He has no intention of rebuilding a castle in his spare time. He offered it to his granddaughter. She doesn't want it either. And so, with the provision that you guys cleared it out, which you've done, rebuild it, which you're doing, maintain it, then it's all yours. And it effectively makes you counts. And you can, in fact, add the word count to the start of your name and the word Esquire to the rear of your name. The sacks were the third, so they're no longer there, but I don't think I can be bothered removing them. Oh, here, I can, actually, because they're, I thought they were on the map, but they're only, well, some of them are on the map and some of them are not. Yeah. Count Everett Flint Esquire. I'm going to change his name involuntarily. I'm not going to ask him.
He might feel the need to live up to it.
Indeed. He's effectively an NPC at this point, so I assume that he will be the grand administrator of this castle.
Oh, how many days are we staying here? 'Cause, like, wasn't I going to like use some magic on like the land?
Use some magic on the land.
Yeah, I can cast and bless it so that the plants will grow better.
I'm not sure how that works, but sure, go for it.
I mean, it takes like 8 hours.
Oh, well, I suppose we're only staying here for a day. So it would take you all day.
Yeah, like just show me where the fields are and I can do it. Or where the fields are going to be.
Yeah, no worries. You're shown to the fields. The whole thing is pretty overgrown now. After all, you know, a forest like Cormanthor, which it sits on the edge of, can do a lot of reclamation in 50 bloody years. That said, you've got plenty of men to work. They are axemen. That's literally their title. So if and no doubt we've been clearing some trees to get some timber. All in all, it basically equates to ample field space.
I guess since we might not come back for a fair few weeks, I guess I'll spend today setting up the plant growths.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I guess.
All right, you might we'll get Raz to record that you that you have what would it be? I suppose wheat, barley, oats, something like that. Is that what you're growing?
No, I think what it does, it just makes the ground better. Oh, it's all,
Uh-huh.
all the plants already have to be grown. I don't. No, I thought it bless the ground. It blesses like plants that are already there.
Right. Yep. Cool.
I guess it wouldn't be worth doing it
Cast
at
a
the
spell.
moment.
You enrich the land. All plants in half mile centered on a point become enriched. Plants will yield twice as much food. Okay, well that's pretty simple. So yeah, you they've got these wheat, oat, barley, apples that are growing here, and you just channel fertility and life into them over a long period, and they'll yield twice as many apples. The ears of wheat will be twice as large, and so on.
Is the Tengu samurai the guy who was bitching about not having a position?
That's him.
Okay.
Sharan.
The Freedale's army didn't have any mounts, correct?
No,
Okay, just making sure.
no, but the Iron Vultures have now become a cavalry force.
Do we have any horses beyond those? Because I know we also had the herd that we brought back, but I don't know if we gave those to somebody.
I think we returned them to their owners.
I think so.
There might have been an extra spare 10 horses or so by recollection. I think we actually bought more horses than the force needed in case they died or whatever. And unless anyone knows for certain, then you can just add an extra 10 horses in addition to however many horses we would need for the Iron Vulture.
All
You just
right.
you just put them to work in the farm if you wanted, or give them to make a second cavalry force, whatever you deem is the best use of them. The Iron Vultures, by the way, oh no, I was going to say they leveled, but they didn't because they didn't participate that much. Yeah.
Oh, I know what I can do while we're here.
Yeah,
Just
good.
have a little look around and see if there's anybody who's sick. And
Yeah,
heal them.
always.
Lesser restoration and greater restoration, wherever is necessary.
Perfect. So children get the fever. There's a lot of fucking mosquitoes here. It's a real bitch. And mosquitoes inevitably, of course, bring dengue fever and malaria and specialized and localized diseases. And it's very hard to identify the difference between one or the other. So you find the worst cases and just alleviate their pain. Do you have to use charges from the staff for that, or can you rely on your own spells?
I could do both, depending on how many people are sick.
My character also has. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Roll 3d6, and we'll see how many people really do need healing. They can get by without it, but yeah. So
that's good.
not very many. Not very many.
Yes, I was going to say, because
No,
I've got a small amount of healing, but I've got lesser restoration as well.
Good.
I'll just expend all 3 of my second level spell slots to cast lesser restoration 3 times then.
They call you nurse, in spite of the fact that you're clearly a doctor. Fucking sex.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what they call me.
It's doctress, but you know.
Doctress. Doctina.
Well, they feel better, so they can call me whatever they want.
There they can. Things are going swimmingly here. Everything's being rebuilt. The fields are fertile. The population is growing. The military is strong. People aren't even really getting very sick. It's an incredibly prosperous and fast-growing little population. Even the Underdark's relatively safe because there's that many damn giant scorpions that ain't nothing going to come up through those Underdark passages unless they're like challenge rating 8 or something.
Yeah, works both ways.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It really does. Dangerous for us, dangerous for them. All right. So, enough housekeeping, except for perhaps Raz, who is probably still working on it. What's next?
I guess the question is, did we come here just to housekeep, or are we picking up some troops to take with us? Or do we plan to hit Boonlar and the Goblin Fort? Just us?
Yeah, I think the idea was to pick up some troops, so we had more options. Or well, I guess it might negate some options too.
That's how the field commander feels. I think his name's Al Darabon or something. He obviously will do whatever the hell you want. He's not trying to undermine you, but it's his belief that if you go marching troops into disputed territory, the Zentarum will assume that it's preparation for war.
Yeah, personally, I think if we can handle it just ourselves, then I think it's better to just do it ourselves. If
He
it's not
suggests
necessary to bring troops.
he's with you, Dahlia. He suggests either taking an extremely small group of people, maybe 5, perhaps 10, or taking the whole fucking lot. You know, one or the other.
Yeah.
Like taking 50, they're only going to be destroyed, but it's going to be counted as an invasion. Taking 5 could just be squires. So yeah, that's how he feels.
Do we have illusions, like anything like that?
I don't have any magic that could could conjure an illusory army or anything like that.
Because like we could do that to draw them out and just have Raz like use a big fireball and kill them. Now that could be good against the goblins.
Now Balberon thinks that this is actually an interesting idea. It's not one that he'd considered. The kobold might have something.
Yeah, Cass talks about strategy a lot. It's quite boring, but like I remember that one being a good one.
Well, I'm not sure how we do it. As I mentioned, I'm not capable of any magic that can conjure an illusory force.
Right.
I mean, we could just we got some new weavers. We could create like straw men and have them stand out to trick the enemy into like an open field. Like they don't need to be that good. Just like look like an army at distance.
I doubt that they'd leave what their semblance of a stronghold is to engage some strawmen. At least not enough people that would make a difference.
It does seem foolish for them to give up their strategic advantage.
I mean,
to fight
goblins
us out
aren't
in the
very
open.
smart. They might be like baited out.
Well, they're not very smart, but they're also pretty cowardly.
Yeah, so like 200 versus 50. That seems pretty worth.
Where's
Yeah,
the
might
goblins we're fighting? Are we going for the goblin fort, or are we going to Voonlar?
I imagine both. But it's a question of which one first.
What if we were to like park ourselves on the south side of the river and do the cloud kill plan on the goblin fort and try to maybe draw out whoever's in Voonlar to us, and we might have some sort of ambush ready for them.
Oh, you mean deliberately provoke them by attacking the goblin fort first?
Yeah.
Do you know what we can do? We can do a false message requesting support, and then attack them on the road.
Oh,
So a fake message from Teshway / the Goblin Fort to Voonlar saying that they are in need of military assistance and send as many men as possible. Take out the people while they're on the road, and then just clean up Voonlar. So that way we minimize civilian casualty and we can surprise them, draw them out of a semblance of a stronghold.
I was like, I could like pretend to be a messenger and send a message.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm not sure if that would work, but if it did work, it'd be quite effective.
I mean, I don't speak Goblin. Is there magic we could do to fix this?
I believe so. I'd have to think about it for a little while, trying to figure it out.
I gotta be right back real quick.
Cool. In that case, I'll take a really quick break as well. You feel free to keep discussing if you want to.
I want to point out we have 835 people, 36 eggs, 50 horses, and 10 hounds.
So we've got quite a lot of people.
I was sort of wondering if we had like freezing sphere, but then I looked it up and like it's too high level. That would be really good for this, wouldn't it?
Freezing sphere.
Yeah.
I think so.
I suppose it'd be
Let's have a
flaming
look.
sphere with Vaz. It's a 6th level spell.
We could actually send a false message to tell them to march on Shadowdale. Bring them to this road where they're cut off with the trees. So going down south.
Hmm. Hmm.
That
What's
way,
the population of Vunlar?
we don't know. We know nothing of Unlar. But we have heard rumors that the occupying force there is double the citizen population.
Right.
Well, I think we shouldn't really draw up any concrete plans until we recon Boonlaw.
So it's
Yeah.
so just so I'm clear, it's the Goblin Fort and Teshway are the Goblin areas.
You said goblin enemies?
Areas.
Yeah, so the Goblin Fort is like mostly like the monster humanoid kind of guys. Teshwave is currently occupied by Zentarum. So it's basically like segregated kind of.
And in spite of the map, they're not 10 miles apart. Like the
Okay.
Goblin Fort is within the vicinity of Teshwave. It's just that the map is doesn't
That was
represent
going to be my next question, because like if it is as far as the map said, it would have been a great area to ambush like reinforcements.
Yeah, no, it's think of Teshwave as an occupied town, and the Goblin Fort as the Zentarum's best effort to create an army of monsters within that town.
The only way false messages could be portrayed is having someone who knows how messages in the Zentarum work, and we do. We have our resident turncoat, Flint.
Yep.
Would Flint know their messaging system?
Yeah, the short answer is yes, but the nuances might be a bit difficult. Like passwords, for example, any passwords will be outdated. It goes something like this. There are 5 ranks within the Zentarum. He knows what they are. You would invent a designation and get that person to either demand or request troops, depending on whether they're higher or lower rank. There would no doubt, there would no doubt be some passcodes involved. We know that the Goblin Fort has Zug Zug and Luktar, and they're unlikely to change those because goblins aren't very good and ogres are pretty bad at remembering anything new. But the same cannot be said for the Zentarum, which is as professional an army as any in the world.
I was thinking we could send like messages up the Goblin, like half of the hierarchy, but it probably doesn't go very high. Like compared to what the Zentarum have, I mean.
That's a fair assumption. Yeah, he wouldn't know, but that's a fair assumption.
Like I think anything coming from the Goblin side would probably be, well, their passwords are known by everyone, so let's not trust them.
I think one of the best approaches we can do is one, we need to mitigate damage to Vunlar and the civilians there as much as possible. We can send a bloodied soldier, or quote unquote bloodied soldier, like breakneck horseback, looks like he's been riding from Teshwave, and say that there's been an attack on Teshwave and they need reinforcement. So there's nothing formal about it. It's a soldier that was sent by an officer, saying in the middle of a battle, kind of thing, or a messenger that was sent in the middle of a battle. So that they wouldn't like need anything beyond, hey, this guy just got out barely with his life to ask for help and we need to go, kind of thing. And then we can ambush them on the road, thinking they're going to be providing reinforcement, kind of thing. And that way we would mitigate damage to civilians, because this is a small town. So there's very little room for the people that are in there. So us trying to fight the Zentarum would result most likely in civilian casualties.
And not to mention that, as Arctic said, the occupying force of Vunlar, I think it was mentioned to be at least double the population or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone said that. So
Yeah.
that's like hundreds, maybe thousands of soldiers. I don't know if we can really take that head on.
I
Also-
know it's half the size of the civilian populace there is half the size of Dagger Falls. I don't know
Dagger
how many
Falls is
Dagger Falls.
2,000.
2,000,
Yeah,
so
2,000.
1,000. So there's 2,000 enemies.
Very round figures, but yeah, that's the information.
And is there
yeah.
a bridge to Teshwave, or is this just river?
I'll have a look at that. I'm almost sure that there is a bridge. Yeah, there is. It's called the Old Elven Bridge, an ancient stone bridge that spans a swift river. It's crumbling, and it's their only bridge.
I have an idea, perhaps. Because there's just so many of them, we can't possibly kill them all. Perhaps, and we can't really like burn the food supplies or poison the wells, because the innocent civilians will be affected as well. Then I think when it comes to sabotage, like assassination would be the most effective. If we can figure out who the most high-ranking officers are and take them out, it won't stop the force, and it won't, stop them from being a problem. But by destroying their command structure, it'll slow them down. They'll have to have replacements sent over, or figure out who else is going to be in charge.
But do we have anyone who can sneak in, get enough information on that, be able to assassinate and get out with their lives? I think Flint was the only one we had for that.
Well, I have some
Next best
ideas.
thing is like a fucking immolation spell.
I mean, I'm pretty sneaky.
Yeah, well, I have some ideas, but pretty risky, because I'm pretty sure the Dimension Door spell can be cast on an unwilling target. It forces them to make a saving throw, and I can do it to a distance of 1,000 feet. So
Send them into our camp.
Sneak in there, if I was able to sneak in there somehow, and I was able to cast it on them, and they failed the saving throw, I could teleport them out of their camp and even beyond the city limits, maybe, and where the party is waiting, and then we all jump them at once. Even if they're a powerful individual, the entire party versus them, we should be able to take them on. But the problem is if they pass the saving throw, then I'm in trouble.
Also, I don't think you can take unwilling creatures with Dimension Door.
Can you not? I'm sure you can. I'll check.
I mean, if you could, you just put them 200 feet up, wouldn't you?
I think there's something about consent that's required. I think.
I know that. It just sounds like that would be like really powerful. Like if you could just teleport them 200
yeah,
feet
you're right.
up.
Yeah, I've got it confused with the Pathfinder version.
Right.
That one lets you teleport unwilling creatures.
I mean, because what's like the max fall damage?
20d6.
Yeah, that would make it like the best spell, like for dealing damage, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I got mixed up there. I've been playing Pathfinder with a different group. they keep messing up the spell descriptions.
Arctic, I do have to ask. You had me
Yeah.
roll for 75 people. Was
Yeah.
that splitting that roll between workers or traders that came and mercenaries that came?
No, they will all be of the lowest class of people, like non-specialists, which is essentially farmers. So you can have them do something else. You could allocate them to the militia, but they wouldn't be very good at it.
Okay.
I mean, they have like 4 hit points. I don't think they'd be very useful on the battlefield.
No, and they wouldn't. No, at this point, they wouldn't. But we'd immediately set them to training to get them up to the rank of guard over the course of about a month.
And what of our requests for mercenary help?
We haven't paid for them, so until you pay, no one's coming.
Well, how are you going to pay them without them showing up?
They're not going to show up until you pay. The answer to your question is you go to them. You find out where they are, and you make a deal. That's the way it's
I
done.
don't think we're like prestigious enough to like for them to like seek us out.
No.
We're the Free Dales Army and the I thought the Free Dales Army and the Iron Vultures were some of the largest groups in the area.
I think they are. I'm looking for the mercenary. Here they are at the moment.
Okay.
So Mercenary Bands has its own folder. It's in information. Here we go. This is the summarized version.
All right.
And the description of them, as I said, is within information mercenary bands and right up on each of them.
I see 2 groups that we can probably get right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Saurus and Stone Blooded.
And the Order of the Bronze Arrow are also they're Dale Landers. So the Carthagus from the Bedine, Anarok is not that far away. Yeah.
What are the numbers of each of these people?
You'll have to look it up in information mercenary bands.
Oh, okay, we have it. I didn't realize.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wow. Are Stone Blooded even worth the expense?
300 gold pieces is pretty cheap.
Yeah, it's just 10 people though.
Yeah.
Don't you mean 11?
So you'd be paying using Stoneblooded as an example. 10 people, 300 gold a month. You're paying them a single gold piece a day. You get what you pay for.
Oh, okay.
Like their weakness is that they are orcs.
No, that's their that's the problem. In fact, I think it might only be 1 silver a day. No, it's a gold. It's a gold piece a day.
100 acres of land per battle. Excuse the fuck out of me. How many acres of land is like Dagger Falls or Daggerdale?
100,000, maybe more. Acre's not very big. An acre is around about about fucking. Yeah, I'll Google it so that I know. How many square feet in an acre? An acre is 43,000 square feet. So that would be about 200 feet. That'll be 400. 2,000 feet on a side. Do the math on that. 2,000 by 2,000 is 400,000. So yeah, 2,000 by 200 feet, if that makes sense. That's an acre. Try to square root of 43,000.
Are there any freelance mercenaries?
That's 200. Oh, there you go. That's right.
Yeah.
So 200 by 200. That's fucking real small. Is there any? What was the question? Sorry.
Freelance mercenaries, not part of the
They're
larger
all-
groups.
Not really. No, these are the freelance mercenaries. Like, for example, 10 Orcs is not a very big mercenary band. If you wanted to carve off, like if you want to go to the Hammer of Liberty and carve off a sector, they might be open to negotiation, but you're going to have to stick them out, and they're in Hillsfar.
Okay. One other thing would be how much money. How are you going to math out the money we're bringing in?
The loom will bring in 1,000 gold a month. Is the rest of it? Do you already have income for everything else, or no? I don't think we have any industry apart from the loom.
We have the loom, and then all the trades that come with that.
We're not imposing taxes. Yeah. So the loom will bring in 1,000 gold a month.
Okay.
Look at that. Noble.
I know we
looking
had
after the economy. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I know we had said we were going to start imposing a tax, especially because there are currently 835 people living in and around Castle Daggerdale. We're already going to be putting up. I don't know. We said we were going to already start building for this purpose of housing people, which we said was most likely already happening because these people weren't going to be homeless during all of our battles, kind of thing.
Taxing your own people is probably not worth it because you're actually paying them. So that'd be like income tax, which is a very inefficient tax. But never mind, let's not get into that. Yeah, right. So if you're going to tax people, you're probably going to want to tax traders. There are no traders. Nobody's doing any trading.
Well, I mean, now that we have a loom, people might want our clothes. Like,
the loom is best, like in my opinion, at least, just best left as a lump sum of 1,000 gold,
that's probably
rather than
because like we sell
exactly
the clothes.
Precisely. You sell the clothes. People, they boost the economy by staying overnight and buying some food and using your prostitutes and those sort of things. It all factors into the one round figure. So yeah, as I said, you can impose taxes, but I'm not sure who you would impose them on. Imposing them on your own citizens is just going to drive them away. The whole fucking reason they're here is because they don't pay tax. You impose a tax and they're just going to leave. It's going to cause a population decline. If you try to tax traders, well, there aren't any traders. You might have heard of a plague to the south, and that plague is preventing people from coming from Cormia and Sembia. So no traders coming from the south, no traders coming from the north because the Zentarum are blocking it. So you've got plague blocking to the south, but the Zentarum blocking to the north. And quite frankly, Shadowdale, with its population of 500 people, does not have a lot of merchants that travel between Daggerdale and Shadowdale. And if you do impose a tax, they're just going to start smuggling instead. They're chaotic good people. So you don't have a lot of options for taxation, I guess, is the short answer.
I'm not sure how much we're going in depth of like how we're going to be making money from this, but as of right now, we do have castle laborers. Now that the castle is mostly finished, it's just going to mostly be the.
No, there's a lot. No, it'll take a year to finish this castle.
Oh, I was under the impression that it was near done.
It's coming along, particularly with the stone giant, but castles normally take 20, 30 years to build. In real life, the fact that this is taking one is already pretty unrealistic.
So we have the 20 skilled workers that are going to be working on the castle, along with 100 common laborers.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have 75 persons that responded to our plea for trade, basically. And then we have a dyer, 5 weavers, a dyer, a leather worker, a tailor. So those are small businesses that are going to be opening up. We're about to have a honey business along with farming in the area. The whole point of all this is to try to make a city sprout, basically, or make a town sprout out of nothing. And that's by bringing all the trade, inviting people to come. Most of the people in this era will only have one person working in the family or something of that. So the 471 people that come attached with the Iron Vultures and the Freesdale's army. That's 471 people that the money we're paying our people is going to be split among. So there's no reason in having money unless you're going to be spending it, kind of thing. We aren't covering their families' food and everything. They do have to pay for that on their own.
They gather it. They tend to the Freedale's army or whoever they were are hunter gatherers, and so they hunt and gather themselves. Food is not an issue. Yeah.
And what
Particularly now
of
that we've boosted
the necessity for clothing and new shoes and tools?
We can assume that all takes care of itself. They bring their own livestock. We have a tailor. That can all be kind of done internally. You can impose a tax on that if you wanted to, like nothing's stopping you. But the instant you start imposing taxes, people start leaving.
When do you feel would be the point that the castle and city start paying for themselves? Same as cities do and towns do nowadays.
Look, it depends on your emphasis. I would, if left to grow naturally, 10 years. If you want to emphasize it as a money-making venture, then that's fine. You can. It's just going to cost you growth. If you think of it, have you ever played Total War? Any of the Total Wars? No.
I don't think I have.
Well, when you increase taxation, you decrease growth. By default, in a Total War game, your population will go up. Sometimes it goes down, but it almost always will slowly grow up. But increasing the taxation affects that, and that's basically the system that we'll use, quite simply. The higher your tax, the lower your growth.
So from this point, are you saying that people aren't going to be spending money at all?
It's not that they aren't going to be spending money. It's that the money isn't going to go into your pocket. It'll go into the merchants' pockets, and that will attract more people. Hence, the growth will go up. What we have here is a burden. Like, there's no doubt about this. This castle is a financial burden on us, but it increases our power. Yes, it costs money. Yes, it costs a fuck ton of money, but it gives us a force of hundreds of soldiers. That's something I was going to say that money can't buy, which is kind of true. Not really, but kind of. Anyway, the point being is that you are paying for something that increases your influence and your power. If, on the other hand, you switch it around so that it becomes a form of money generation, that's nothing wrong with that, nothing at all. But it is going to decrease your power because it won't attract so many people.
I suppose once most of the growth is done, we'll be getting money anyway, either way.
That's right, yeah, and that could take years.
And I suppose, but we're adventurers. We can sort of have both, because we go out, get thousands of gold for magic items, come back, and we can just
precisely.
Yeah.
So I guess
exactly what he said. It's not really worth focusing too much on squeezing blood from a stone from a couple of peasants who are only going to give you a few silver pieces taxation, when you could go and hit the elven tombs and get a single magic item worth 10,000 gold pieces. Fuck all your taxes. You're not going to get that much tax in a year.
I suppose if you don't want to go the taxation route, seeing as these are chaotic good people, maybe a war tax would be more popular. We're going to war, this will all fail, and you'd be taxed higher by the Zentarum, so we need some donations.
and then they might say, well, I'm sending my son. Is that not payment enough? Fine, you don't want that. Me and my son, we're going to live in the mountains. It's not a bad idea. I'm not criticizing the idea.
saying,
I'm just
like,
saying that
a
there
war
will.
tax would be more popular than sales tax.
I think so, or an income tax. I agree with you, but it's still going to cause people to abandon you all the same.
So,
I've got different ideas. Oh, go ahead.
Not a bad idea. It's not a criticism. I promise you that.
we have 835 souls in this castle and around it. How much coin do you think they would be spending internally per month? Let's say
That's the best
835 people.
The question is best answered by looking at the wages. I'll bring up wages again, because they will essentially spend every last penny. Most of us here are relatively poor. I expect that most of us in real life live hand to mouth, where we don't have a lot of savings, and that's certainly the case for a peasant in a feudal situation. So if I can just find that information.
How many commons would we have?
Yeah. 800 or something, isn't it?
We have, one moment. We have 162 fighting men, 102 skilled workers. Well, give or take. Actually, take that off. 5 plus 4, 9. Hold on.
How many warriors was it?
162. We have 29 skilled workers, 175 common laborers, 471 family members, then 50 horses, 10 hounds, 36 lizardman eggs. Let's make that 176 common laborers if we're going to be counting the hermaphrodite lizard person. So all in all, we have a lot of souls going on. So the skilled workers are going. Some of these are going to be merchants. Some of these will be persons that others will go to provide certain services that those people will pay for. So we are going to have basically like the shop owners and stuff like that. So that's going to be the main thing that's bringing money in. Where I know that we do have people who are farming. We're also going to be bringing in the honey trade. So that's going, and something that rare. What was it that you said? 5 gold coins per whatever. One of the main honey growers in the region, most likely, if you had that many things at this time period, and in such a small area. We now have one of the only honey farms basically in the area. We have one of the only looms in the area, which will bring 1,000 on its own.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the internal how much do each soldier get? Is that where they fall in 2 silver per day?
I'm sharing the standard wages, and a soldier falls under skilled, so
Okay.
12 gold a month, 4 silver a day.
So are the 500 GP a month separate from what we're paying each individual soldier?
I'm not sure. Is that for the mercenaries? It would probably is. Yeah. I think we struck a particular deal with the mercs.
Okay. Because I did some quick math, and
Yeah.
the internal spending of all the peasants and things would be about 1,116 silver.
That all?
That's all.
Silver or gold?
Silver.
Is that a day or a month?
That's a day.
Oh, that's different. And I
It's
thought
about
that was
1,000 silver a day.
Right.
That's assuming if they go out and spend all of their money every day.
And they probably do.
And how?
So 1,000 silver a day is going to be 300 gold a month. 3,000 gold a month. 1,000 silver a day is 3,000 gold a month.
Okay. What would you say to a... Trying to think here.
I say we just avoid taxes and just buy more things like the loom and get businesses started.
Easiest way to do it. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Like just
So your loom will bring in 1,000 gold pieces a month. Your honey will bring in 500 gold pieces a month.
Okay, that's 1,500.
Yeah,
I'd
I was gonna suggest once we've done the Goblin Port and Boonlar situation, we can, what's it called? We can raid that Elven city,
Mm-hmm.
and that will get us some treasure, and we can sell that for a bunch of capital, which we can then invest into our fledgling society here.
how much do you think in this era would be a proper tax? Because I think taxing the citizens isn't much, but taxing traders and merchants to
But I
trade in our spots, basically. How much do you think would be a good amount?
like,
I
I
guess
don't
you could say.
I don't think my character would think of this, but I guess Cass would tell him this. But I think we need to take into account the local culture. Like Arctic keeps telling us these guys are chaotic. I think if we tax anything, they'll either leave or start smuggling. Like maybe in a more lawful
Yeah.
area, a tax would be welcome because they might understand that we're paying into a system. But here it's, why are you taking my money?
Yeah, that's basically the case. You know, like why am I even living here if I'm going to be oppressed?
Like if I live in the mountains, bandits will steal my gold. If I live here, you'll steal my gold. So I mean, I can fight the bandits.
Mm. And the money we're getting from the loom and the honey is considered to be tax. Like yeah.
Because we
Or
could
if
say,
not tax, then you're the boss. But whatever, however you want to you look at it.
because I guess
Mhm.
since it's
The
like
money
my
comes to
loom,
you.
like, it's just like, oh, you have to do some work to use it.
Precisely, that's right. So you essentially are the CEO, and dudes work for you, but all the profits come to you. Hence the guy who's doing the work is only getting, he's presumably a technical. The guy who does all the work gets 60 gold piece a month. You get 1,000. Like, holy shit, that's fucking huge
Have
profits.
you know Nubble will be a good boss?
Right, I assume that he is. If not, then you'll lose people. Yeah.
So, do you guys think maybe like what was it, 1/12 of the local expenditure, 250 gold, is too much, or we shouldn't do any of that?
I
So
say
the
no
3,000
taxes.
that's spent. Okay. All right. So we'll leave it at the 1,500 GP per month.
All right. So really, the only sum that really matters is total expenditure versus income. So if you can work out what how much we pay, which is really only wages, less our income, then that will equal our monthly debt or
That would be
expenditure.
3,000 GP per month. If
All right.
everything we're paying, it goes into immediately back to the system.
Are we paying
3,000.
3,000?
I guess that's the math that
Well, because it's 3,000 a month local expenditure, 1,000 gold pump, 1,000 a month from the loom, and 500 from the honey. That should be 1,500. Yeah.
But I don't think the 3,000 is correct. I think that was only the commoners. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
he was saying that we're paying the soldiers 3,000 per month, and that's immediately being spent, basically.
Yeah, but the money doesn't come to you. It goes to the local like dudes who work here.
Yes, that's
You
why I'm
don't get it.
saying our monthly expense is 3,000
Right.
GP.
Was that so? It was Saloon who came up with that figure. Is that right?
Did I? I don't remember doing that.
I don't remember either. All right, let's do the math
it was
now.
Nubble.
I can help with that. Oh, it was double. Did you come up with that figure?
Excuse me.
Did you come up with a 3,000 gold piece figure?
I came up with 1,000 silver. I'm doing it in the gold now.
Right. Was that just for the commoners, or was that for everyone, including soldiers? And
that was the soldiers, the skilled workers, and the commoners.
Oh, it was everyone. Oh, okay, cool. All right, yeah.
If
Cool.
I got the numbers correct, that is. But I'm doing gold per month now.
Yeah, gold per. It's easier to just do it the gold per month, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You see, the one thing that I guess isn't working for me is we're paying the skilled workers to work. While
but you're getting the money from the business. So like the loom dude, you pay him 60 gold, and there's 5 of them, including the leather worker and all that. So you pay 300 gold and you get 1,000. You're not taxing them. You own the business.
so the loom includes those skilled workers.
Yeah, it's basically
Okay.
having the loom brings in that much money.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes more sense because I was thinking the loom by itself brings in that much since we own the loom, but the workers that
It
came
does.
along with it are basically getting paid and also
They
making their
are.
own money.
That's all. That
But-
is all correct. That's absolutely correct. That's exactly how it works. But the money that comes in pays for the wool. It pays for the dyes. It's a roundabout figure. But you're right. That is what's happening. Ultimately, you're getting a huge fucking profit. And the guys, they don't just get paid from you; they also get paid from the business itself. So they're being paid twice. That's true, and you can prevent that, and then they'll leave and go back to Shadow.
Yeah, because I guess what's happening is like they'll like make like 10 shirts for us, and then someone will come in and like buy a shirt like on the side.
Precisely. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we're making 1,500 a month, but spending 3,000 a month at this
That
time.
sounds that sounds like that's accurate. Yeah. So we're losing 1,500 gold pieces.
Yeah.
Does that look right?
We have 100% loss, basically. I think that's
I think 50% is
50% loss. Yeah, 50% loss.
Which really, when we're starting out, still isn't that bad. Like, we need to work on developing more industry, but like at this point, that's not that bad.
It
Okay.
depends on how highly you value the power of having the largest army in Western.
There is that. It's always expensive to have like ships. Or
So at this point, where I think is where we said we were going to send messengers all around. It's like, hey, come live here, to try to get more people, and try to grow it even more.
And they keep coming in.
Yeah. Are we going to say that we're going to get a certain? We're going to roll for a certain amount every month or week, or I guess whatever time frame would be good for you.
Month is good. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
so there's the 75 that have arrived. They are still arriving. Some will arrive tomorrow. Some arrived yesterday. It's a roundabout figure that clocks over at the start of every month, every full moon. Yeah.
All right.
All right. I think that's dealt with. And we can move away from logistics and back to strategy.
Yeah, I just had a sudden thought. Like, how often do you think they'd send messengers between Teshwave and the Goblin Fort? Oh, sorry, I didn't hear that.
How was that?
How is Teshwave? Well, one of your words disappeared into the internet.
Oh, okay. It's how often do you think like messengers would be sent between Teshwave and the fort?
You have a scout with wings. He can go today. He can go now.
But he can like figure it out. Like, because
Precisely.
if we could just intercept one of these guys, we can do things and get the passwords. Then we can forward the message we need.
So to answer your question a little more succinctly, then, is that never. The Zentarum appear to have blocked all trade with the South. They're not letting the merchants go south. Precisely, presumably anyway, for that reason. There might be Harper spies or disgruntled Daggerdale folk or whatever. And for whatever the reason the Zentarum have, they aren't letting anyone go south. We do have a spy in Teshwave. We've never met her, but this battle plan that I'll bring up again has her name on it. Where is it? Teshwave battle plan.
Do we have any communication with her?
Yes, she gave the plan to the Tengu. The Tengu gave the plan to Albarabon, who is our champion, who basically is the leader of either our military or our civilians. I can't remember which. He's the Castellan, and together the three of them compiled the information into the report that you see before your very eyes.
Because she might be able to get like the latest passwords, and we might be able to use that to get a message through.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I also, since we have someone in Teshwave, is there communication between Teshwave and Voonlar?
Absolutely. They can be considered to be satellites of each other. Yeah.
Okay.
They're quite close. They're both ruled by the same people. They both have similar objectives. The Zentarum could get a message there by horseback and back in the same day.
Okay. Do we think that we can? I think we do need to take out Voonlar then, because they can Touchwave can the second they see that we're attacking the Goblin Fort, they can send a message saying, "Hey, you know that one major fighting force in the region? Yeah, they're attacking the Goblin Fort right now. Do you know where they're not right now? They're not at their base of operations. You should probably go deal with that."
What if they don't know we're attacking the Goblin Fort, though? Like if we did the plan I mentioned, where we just bombard it with cloud kill, we can be
Is
outside of a visual range.
is Cloud Kill something that can occur naturally, like the equivalent?
No,
Short
I
answer
don't
is
think so.
no. Yeah.
But they
'Cause I
wouldn't
feel
see
like-
those,
manifest sometimes, but it's extremely rare.
If the entire
Like, remember how
fucking
we went
fort-
through that plague? Remember we went through a plague of our own at some stage?
Yeah.
Do you ever remember? Yeah, anyway, there you go. So there's an example of when it may. So
So
sorry to interrupt.
if a fort falls, they'll know foul play has occurred.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
True. Just my
They
point
won't
is
be
they
able to
wouldn't
march.
know for sure that it was
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, and if you're specifically worried about Castle Daggerdale, they're going to have to cross through the Dagger Hills to get there, and that's werewolf country, which might not stop them. But it's the other alternative would be going first through Shadowdale and then up to Castle Daggerdale. So Shadowdale would be a much more likely target. Al Balberon believes anyway. For starters, they don't have a force of fucking 7,000 troops like we do. They've got 500 farmers and no Elminster. So if anyway it's going to be hit, it's going to be Shadowdale. That's what Al Balberon.
And the other
Oh.
issue would be if Voonlar, the second where they find out that, and the second Teshwave finds out that the Goblin Fort has fallen, they're going to probably send for Voonlar.
Is Voonlar
'Cause the
like
only
an other
reason-
Zentarum stronghold?
What
It
was the
has
question?
at least 2,000 people there.
Is
In
Voonlar
Teshwave?
also like Zentarum?
Yeah,
Okay.
it is. Yeah, that's right. It's another town, occupied town. So I think I'll refocus our discussion, or Al Balberon will encourage you to do the same. And that's to work out what our objectives are. Like, we talk about hitting Voonlar, but does that mean that we are destroying it? Are we razing the place to the ground? Same with Teshwave. Like, the objective in Teshwave is relatively clear. We want to destroy the Goblin Fort. Do we also want to somehow destroy the other 2,000 troops as well? And the same goes for Voonlar. Like, what are our objectives? We might still be in the intelligence gathering stage at this point. We might not. We might leave it up to our spy in Teshwave to gather the intelligence for us. So yeah, I think that it would be helpful if we focus in on what exactly we are setting out to achieve.
I suppose
I'd
damage the Zentarum in like the border sense.
But that's too
Yeah.
broad.
I know,
What specifically do we
Well,
want?
I think I
I-
have a general idea. Oh, go ahead.
What I'd say we're doing is exactly what the Zentarum is doing, but backwards. Zentarum have taken over Teshwave and Voonlar as footholds. We're going to be accomplishing two things: getting rid of the footholds that the Zentarum are taking, establishing a foothold of our own as the Dale folk, pushing them back, so we can basically chip away at them. To the point where we can offer up resistance. And also, I'm sure that the Zentarum are kind of bad people, right? Am I right in
Yeah,
that?
Bane
Yeah.
worshippers.
They're
Yeah.
conquerors. They don't much care for the locals kind of thing.
Yeah, Bane
Yes, they are
worshippers, so
bad.
they're pretty bad.
Okay. So I'm sure with taking over these cities from the Zentarum, be like, hey, we're trying to defeat your oppressors that have been like making your life a living hell for the last few months, weeks, such and so far and so forth. Want to help? Uh, so it can be a way to add to our numbers as well. I think the main thing we need to do is to unite as much as the Dales of the Dales as possible to push back the Zentarum with greater and greater ease, I guess you could say. Because the more people we have backing us, the easier it'll be.
I see disgruntled merchants, like, it could probably be pretty easy to get them to, like, not directly oppose them, but, like, if all their stocks, like, went missing and became, like, unavailable to the Zentarum, that would hurt them.
Yeah.
Like I was thinking along this same lines as you. Like, as mentioned before, what the Zentarum are trying to do is they're trying to solidify their foothold, and then once they've got an iron grip on the territory they've conquered, then they'll move on to the next. So if we can stop them from solidifying that foothold and just keep undermining them, then it won't be able to move on to the next step. If we rile up the populace of the towns that they've captured and keep making that a problem for them, then that'll slow them down. They can't just raise the towns, because if they raise the towns, then they've got no peasants to work the fields to feed their armies.
Yeah, that's everything that you said is true.
So it's just depending, like, how ruthless are the Zentarum?
Utterly. But they're not stupid. Think of the Roman Empire. If you're familiar with history, then that's a great analogy. The Zentarum aren't stupid. In fact, they're fucking logistical, strategic masters. They've got the greatest military machine in the region by far. But the fact that they are consolidating what they've gained, what they've conquered now, I think is testament to the fact that they have a long-term view. Yeah. So utterly ruthless. They will take your eldest son and murder him just to make a point, but only if they think that that point is going to work. If they think that murdering your son is going to cause an insurrection, they won't murder him. They're too smart for that.
Because let's say, like, we get in there and get, like, let's say 70% of, like, the workers to, like, not work. Will they just start killing people at random until they start working again?
They'll likely decimate them. They'll likely take every 10th person, kill them, and everyone else will go back.
Yeah.
I think the point is to, like, kind of wipe out the Zentarum, not try, like, don't give it enough time to the point where they'd start executing people. But, like, what's going on in Hillsfar, there's an uprising going on that's causing them a lot of issues. If we do our best to clear as many forces out of Vular and Teshwave, they're going to be like, do we want to keep these? Do we want to split up our forces? So if less Zentarum are trying to take back Hillsfar is very strong on its own. It can probably, if we pull their numbers away, it could probably overthrow, like, counter siege, basically.
So, like, a message saying that Hillsfar has, like, risen up again and pushing them out, so you guys need to send, like, assistance?
Hillsfar is already doing that, but if we start clearing out all these other areas, they're going to be like, we need to stop these people, but we're also doing other things, so they have to split that up. So if they... Go ahead.
I think that would be a believable lie, though, wouldn't it? Saying that, well, we need you to reinforce Hillsfar because they've risen up again. And then that would make it easier for us to, like, do our things down here.
Not necessarily. I think yes, that could work. But Hillsfar, they had already taken siege to Hillsfar. Hillsfar is the seat in the region that they need the most. They had already taken it, and then within, like, a month or so, Hillsfar started to rebel, and they needed to retake the city. So they're currently in the process of retaking Hillsfar. Vular and Teshwave, while they're valuable, they're not as valuable as Hillsfar. We could say that they would just give up Vular and Teshwave to supply and re-garrison Hillsfar, or they can choose to pull combatants from Hillsfar to try to handle us, the other force, and Hillsfar can have a better chance of overthrowing their oppressors because there's less soldiers. Does that make sense?
I think so.
So it can go either way, but either way, it's going to work out good for us.
Depends how much you want to do espionage. You might just make it seem that we're attacking one of them and just attack the other one.
But
You always split the party.
Yeah. But that never goes well in
No,
any D&D
never,
game.
never split the party.
That's a general rule for dungeons. It's not necessarily a general rule for
Conquering.
warfare.
Yeah.
This is a pretty different situation.
I think we do need to try to take Vular and Teshwave, try to get at least a few numbers from that. And then move on from there. But I think our immediate goals will be Vular, Goblin Fort, Teshwave.
Yeah, I think I have an idea then.
All right.
I suggested it for the Goblin Fort, but I don't see why it wouldn't work for Vular as well. Vular. If you were to cast Cloud Kill, and I were to cast Control Winds, I think that I would be able to finesse the cloud of poison gas enough to avoid the population centers of the citizens and just focus on any forts that the Zentarum have. We don't have to kill every single one of them, but just utterly wreck their forces. And they can't really do much there. They have to pick up the pieces before they can try and retaliate. And then while they're doing that, we can hit the Goblin Fort. I don't see why they would lash out against the populace. Because it's clearly not
what you do, you'll hit
doing of random peasants.
civilians with that.
Well, I can lift the cloud up with updraft. I can push it down. I can move it horizontally. As long as it's within 100-foot cube, I could control the cloud pretty well, I reckon.
Would that work well? The thing with hitting it in the Goblin Fort, there's no friendlies.
Yeah, that's
there's
the
no
thing.
civilians. The thing, I think Vular will be much more delicate.
Yeah, if we're not going to do something like that, then I don't know how we'd pull it off, but assassination, kill some officers. I don't know how we do it, but
How effective is Cloud Kill?
Devastating.
Like the average person who inhales that is dead like several times over.
Dead.
So one thing we can do is, as we were saying before, say that Teshwave, send someone in looking like a Zentarum soldier, fake bloodied and all that, riding on a beaten horse, saying that they came from Teshwave. So one of us basically saying that they came from Teshwave. Teshwave is being attacked, and you were sent in the midst of battle to get reinforcements. There was no time to send a message. What I'm banking on is they see Teshwave as important. There's way too many soldiers at Vular. So they send forces down the road to Teshwave, send Cloud Kill over those forces.
We have
there's a
scouts
bridge
on them.
there
Do
for
they have?
to get to Teshwave.
Will they have scouts in our region?
Presumably.
How about he puts quotes send a message to Shadowdale informing them of our attack on Teshwave, and then get the message intercepted, and then attack Vular instead. Wait for them to reinforce, and then attack the other place. That way, we don't need passwords or any trust. It's just, oh look, they got our message.
Yeah, I think I see what you mean.
Yeah. With what I was saying, if they knew that Teshwave was in the midst of a battle, they'd try to go and help them as soon as possible.
Yeah,
so instead of,
I think they might see through that though.
Do you guys think so?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
And who's to say they'll care? They might just stick to their mission.
What their mission so far has just been to sit at Vular with 2,000 soldiers, How long has this been going on, Arctic?
Say that again.
How long have they garrisoned Vular?
Vunla has been Zentarum occupied for 50 years, 40 years.
So they basically have 2,000 people sitting on their asses for the last 50 years, probably itching to do something.
Oh right, no, they've only moved in the heavily Teshway. Like both of these towns have been Zentarum provinces for 40 years. But in more recent history, about 2 years ago, Bane came back from the dead. Maybe less, maybe about a year ago, 18 months. Anyway, when Bane came back from the dead, a thing called the Bane Death was instigated. At that point, Teshwave was a Cyric town. They were all Cyric towns because Cyric took over the Zentarum. The Bane Death was the destruction of the Cyricists. So they went to Teshwave, fucking killed everyone. Went to Vunla, killed everyone. Went to Ulash, killed everyone, and so long. They didn't get to Hillsfar because it was too big, too powerful. They finally got to Hillsfar, and they're killing everyone. So the Bane Death is an ongoing pogrom being a religious war, based like a crusade, a religious dictate. And so the Bane Death is ongoing. It is the quest to eradicate the Cyricists completely from the Moon Sea. And they've already achieved that in Teshwave. They achieved that a year ago. They achieved it in Vunla a year ago. So in terms of how long the Zentarum have owned Teshwave, 40 years. In terms of how long the Baneites have had Teshwave, less than a year.
Okay.
It's complex. Yeah.
So how long has the garrison just been sitting at Vular with no, from what we can see, objective besides occupying it?
Well, you can consider it to be less than a year. Basically, when the Zentarum moved in, they crushed Vunla, crushed all the Cyricists, put them to the sword, then moved on to the next town, leaving behind an occupying force. In Teshwave's a little bit different. Teshwave has the Goblin Fort, which is a recent construction. So whereas in Vunla they just have like an occupying force, in Teshwave they have more of a mustering force. Easily strong enough to repel any invasion from the Dales, and that seems to be its prime purpose, to terrorize the Dales. By having 2,000 people in Teshwave, they have established with certainty that the line is drawn here, motherfucker. Like you know, I don't care who you are. You can do whatever you want, but you march 100 miles up towards Teshwave, and we will show you that we can muster 10 times the forces that you can. So consider it to be a line in the sand.
Right. So does Teshwave and Vular have the same occupying force?
They do not. Teshwave has a large military force, Vunla does not.
How? Because from what you had said, the Vular occupation is twice of the local populace.
No, you're getting confused with Teshwave here.
Okay.
Teshwave has the force that is twice as large as a civilian population.
Mhm.
Vunla, we don't really know. We don't have an intelligence report from Vunla. We don't have any spies there. We have a spy in Teshwave that we have never met. We don't have any spies in Vunla. So the truth is, we just don't know about Vunla. That's simple. Fact.
We've been making our plan on having 2,000 people in Vular. So I guess we just have to go scout it out.
How
Oh god damn
how
it.
far across is this river?
It's a cold, fast river with a lot of rapids. There's only one bridge, and that's at Teshwave. So horses they might make it, but they might drown. It's obviously because it's a river. It goes narrow, it goes wide, it goes narrow, it goes wide. It's at no point is it more than about 100 feet wide, and at no point is it less than about 30 feet wide.
I might have a plan.
Because good.
There are scouts, because there's no way to move 7,000 troops without all our armed troops without getting spotted.
No, should not.
But I'm thinking, with the fake message saying we're going to attack Teshwave, we could send our troops that way as well. But then when we get about, let me get the pointer here, we get like Devi to like use magic to fabricate a bridge across the river and then attack Vular instead.
Yeah, I can do that.
So what will happen is they'll get a message saying we're going to attack Teshwave, and then then their scouts come back saying their army's moving up the Teshwave River on this side, so they're going to attack Teshwave. They'll move their forces to there from Vular to protect it, Then we just cross the river with the magic bridge and attack the less defended town.
Not to derail this idea, but rather to reinforce it, what will we then do with Voonlar? Will we occupy it, or will we just burn it to the ground, or will we kill everyone and then leave? Yeah.
We'll have to see. Is there a way to liberate it?
I suppose.
Yeah.
We could.
Yeah, but what does liberation mean? Like, does that mean that we then leave once we've given everyone an axe and said, "Look after yourselves now," or do we occupy it? Like, what is liberation?
So the plan, because the Dale folk are mostly a free people, remove the Zentarum force from Vular. Requests like, hey, these people have oppressed you for years. Does anyone want to help us make sure that doesn't happen again?
And it might be a good idea just to keep our troops there as well, because remember, the Zentarum are north of us. From Teshwave and Ulash, they have to go through Dagger Falls.
Yeah.
So, like,
While
that's
we're
basically where the line moves. Like, if you take Vular.
Yeah. While we're on our campaign, we will be, like, before we set out for Teshwave, we will be occupying temporarily. This is while we are recruiting and mayhaps training some people, depending on. If they want to help. From that point, we would be taking Teshwave. But at the end of the day, Vular, I think, will mostly leave to its own devices beyond taking away the oppressors.
I suppose. Is there anything hostile, like, down this Serpent Road and Moonside Sea, like here?
Right. That's Plague Country. Yeah. The line that you've just drawn is where the plague is known to be south of there.
Like, what's the chance of a hostile army coming up that road?
Oh, that's a really good question. I'll move back to an even larger map, the biggest of them all, and to answer that. So, and this is information that you have gathered yourself, so you can be very, you can rely on it. Okay, so I'm going to move this token around. We started in Dagger Falls. We went south along this road down to the Moonsea Ride, and we went down here. Now, at this point here where I put the token is a big fucking army. 2 armies, in fact. Now, we caused some issues with them. That they are the Northmen, the Talos worshippers, and the Sembians. Their total force is probably about 600, all things considered. So there is a force of 600 300 berserkers and 300 grenadiers that are, let's see how far away, that are 200 miles from Voonlar. Have they any intention of conquering it? Probably not. But that's a big assumption to make because the Northmen came from far. So the Northmen actually had to go through Voonlar to get there in the first place. Presumably, if they ever want to go home, they're going to have to go through Voonlar as well. It's a long way from Sembia, a couple of 100 miles. But yeah, so I guess the short answer is there is an army of more than 500 experienced soldiers here. They are not on your doorstep, but they are a threat nonetheless.
They are not friendly.
I guess would they cross like that in a straight line, or would they follow the road?
There is a road here. This is the road that we took here. Through this road.
Yeah, so 200 miles.
And also, from that line going north from Moonsea Ride that you just drew, that's Plague Country. They actually have a block right there, making sure no one goes that way. So I see no reason why they would go that way themselves. I'm sure they'd go the long way, if at all. I think they're not. We can't depend on them for help. I think what we can do is start moving up to Teshwave, sending messages, making sure they get intercepted, kind of thing. Put them on our worst birds instead of sending actual people with them.
Because you could
so we
send
don't
someone
lose
like
men.
me, and then I'll just, when I get attacked, I'll just drop my bag and flee.
That's if you can get away. I think. Yeah, but also
like work on like corrupting and like because they have a lot of money, don't they? They might just try to bribe me or bribe the messenger.
One thing I do want to do is send our flyboy to Vunlar to scout out as much as possible. He's a really good scout, right?
We can get there and back in like a day.
Okay. So in the time where we're mustering up our forces, getting ready to go, I think we need to take as many people as possible with leaving a small force at the castle.
Sure. In the interest of expediency, do you want to call that a decision? You basically wait here for the extra 4 or 5 days and get him to give you a report and come back?
You said he would be able to get there in a day? Or there?
1 day to get there, 1 day to observe, 1 day to get back. So it's about
Okay.
a 3-day process.
How long would it take us? No, go ahead.
Yep. Question.
I was gonna say, it should take them the far, like the 200 miles away army, like at least 10 days to get here. So we could just keep an eye watch on them. See
Yeah.
what they do.
Yeah, 10 days is really the minimum. Like an army marching 25 miles a day is marching fucking hard.
That would be
They're more
that's
likely than
20
do.
miles a day.
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
that's for an individual person. It's not for an army. Armies move at about 10 miles a day.
Oh, okay, so it would take 20 days.
Armies are fucking slow. You could force march them 25 miles a day, but you'd have to really want to do that. Like by default, they'll move at about 10 miles a day because it takes a shit ton of time to set up a camp and to disassemble it again.
And those two people that are part of that army are constantly feuding. We
Yeah.
kind of cemented that as well. So there's no way they'd be able to march those fuckers hard and not like cause an internal uprising.
That's basically true. Yeah, the Sembians will revolt. Yeah.
I think it would be best if we do start moving as soon as possible. How long would it take us to get to Teshwave? Or at least the part where we would split?
Teshwave was about 165 miles from where we are. So if it's 10 miles per day, it should take about 16 days.
That's assuming that we have foot soldiers, and I think like if we only take our horses, then you'd be moving at about 25 miles a day.
Okay, then that should take just under 8 days.
So if we decide to cross the river here, how long do you think?
We can also cross the hills too. There's nothing stopping us. Our scouts come from the Dagger Hills, so the threat of werewolves aside, there's nothing stopping.
I think we don't want to be on this side of the river though, because what we would do essentially at that point, if we're going to cross, make faces at the Zentarum and Teshwave, and then cross again right here.
Yeah, the whole point is to be seen, right? So that's
yeah.
So hopefully we get seen between Dagger Falls and like this spot here,
which I feel like we definitely would.
It's fair to assume that there is at least one spy within Dagger Falls. Out of a population of 2,000, the Zentarum would be remiss not to have 1% of the population loyal to them.
And even if we get spotted on the crossing, what's the chance of them being able to respond before we get to Vunlar?
They probably won't know what we're doing at that point. They might, but there's always a chance that they wouldn't. But at that point, we would also have intel on Vunlar, and I'd say we'd send old Flighty Scout Boy to keep an eye and give us any updates if anything changes.
Do we have any black powder? Hold on, is there a bridge here to Teshwave, or is that a ferry?
It's called the Old Elven Bridge. Apparently, it's kind of lying. It's deteriorated, but the thing's fucking 2,000 or 3,000 years old. Give it a break. Come on.
I guess.
Do we have black powder we can send the flyboy with?
We have smoke powder, a bag full of it that Flint has.
Would that be enough to take out the bridge once they've crossed? And now they're stuck on the wrong side of the bridge. I mean, granted, they may have someone who, like, some powerful wizard with them that does have fabricate, but like, it's a good chance for them to be slowed down.
Yeah.
It's normally not a cleric spell, so they don't have to worry about the Banate priests having it.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. Because at the very soonest, for Teshwave to come and support Vunlar, it would take a day. And that'd be if they want to cut their losses or not. And at that point, we can have our own garrison set up in Vunlar, try to repel them as much as possible. If it gets to the point where it's obvious that they're going to be sending help, we can go and blow up that bridge. But I don't know how important Vunlar is to be on Teshwave. Like, would they risk removing some of the garrison in Teshwave to come and assist the already defeated garrison in Vunlar? Because at that time it should be defeated. That or all of our forces are destroyed in PKs.
Assuming the 3 day, the discussion can obviously take place during that time. Do we send our scout? I just want to post this in case we do. Send our scout, take 3 days to wait for their report.
I'd say we're already moving before that report comes back and tell them to meet us on the test trail.
Then you won't know the logistics until you've already set out.
I have returned.
This is guessing what's going on, what would happen, but I'd presume that we'd be able to clear out Vunlar in less than 24 hours.
Does it have an outer wall?
No, it has no wall. I don't think. I'll check that, but
Yeah,
no, it has no wall.
That would make it much easier. It would make it much harder to hold. But I suppose if you plant growths, then you could put like a plant wall around the perimeter. Or does anyone here have a wall of stone?
Edwin does, I think.
Yeah, our druid does.
Yeah, he could create we could just then spend a few days there creating a wall around the entire city, or around the town.
Yeah, between that and fabricate, I think we can manage it.
I know we've spent a lot of time talking, but I have another proposal.
I'm gonna
Cool.
before you start, say about the elf bridge. I think Nubble is against destroying it because elven things need to be respected. Go ahead with your plan.
It's an ancient bridge.
I think we should. How far is the Goblin Fort from Teshwave? It's within kind of thing.
It's in the vicinity, yeah.
While we're having a group, our forces cross the river. Dahlia and I can cloud kill the Goblin Fort, and then cross ourselves. Because I know Dahlia can just Dimension Door. I can fly across if I polymorph and then fly. So it wouldn't be an issue of us getting back, or you can fucking pull me with you to Dimension Door. It wouldn't be an issue of us going in, cloud killing the entire fort, then joining our forces on the other side of the river.
Assuming 20 miles per day, if we put the crossing here, it'll take you 3 days to get to the Goblin Fort, and about 4 days for us to get to Vunlar. So I guess you'd have 1 day to do that, and then reconvene with the army. You'd get there, and then you'd have to get between here and there in 1 day.
How are these hills impassable, or
the Dagger Hills? Or I'm on a different map.
The one between the Sanctum of the Sorcerer Queens and Vunlar.
Not impassable, no, just filled with werewolves and beholders and vampires and witches.
So
so probably don't want to bring an army through there, correct?
Yeah.
It
looks like it'll
right?
be 35 miles-ish.
Yeah, walking
the
around.
werewolves are kind of on our side at this point, right? Or at least we might be able to convince them when we come across them that we're on our side. The vampires, the witches, who knows? The beholders, yeah, they're going to fuck you up. Assuming they exist, which is a big assumption because ain't nobody ever seen them.
It's
yeah,
40 miles
I'd rather not find out.
Yeah, it looks
hard
like
way.
it's the same distance going around the hills or going in through them, pretty much. Yeah, when we split off, how fast would we be able to fly if we chose to fly?
You'll
To
fly at about 50,
50
50
a
miles a
day?
day.
Okay. So,
How are you going to fly though? I guess that's
polymorphs.
yeah, right. Yeah, about 50 miles a day.
So we, while our forces are crossing the river, we can meet them 4 days to go. 4 days
These
for
are
the
just
30
rough
miles.
estimates.
How many days would it take our, let's say, 100 of our 160 people?
Because I put that about 40 miles
go that way.
Vunlar from that line.
How long would it take a force of 100 to travel in a day?
You get about 10 miles unless you force march them. You can get them up to 25 miles if you're willing to exhaust them.
Okay.
I mean, is it worth what the first day force marching it for 1 day and then back to normal for the rest?
I'd say that's not too much to ask.
Maybe throw like a little bit of extra gold as a bonus for them to make them happy.
Yeah.
I forgot.
But
the
that
horseback force,
shaves a day.
like the cavalry, how fast would they move?
Instead of 4
Twice,
days, we get 3 days.
Mhm.
Yeah, on horses I'll get about 25 miles a day, or 50 if force marched.
Because that's
And Dahlia and I could make the trip, or even I guess Edwin and I might be, but no, Dahlia would have to go with us.
if we use horseback, you can half those distances. So it'd be 2 days to Vunlar.
How many horses do we? Do we have enough horses to mount the army?
We have 50 horses.
That's all right.
So no, then.
I think it's just a matter of days. If you can get to the Goblin Fort and do your thing, and then get to Vunlar in 4 days, that
We
puts everyone back
can.
together for the assault.
I think if me, Edwin, and Dahlia go, because Edwin can spend the spell slots on Dahlia to polymorph Dahlia, and then he could just beast shape. And I can spend my spell slots on myself.
So how fast can you
So I
travel?
don't have a double.
So you can get 30 miles in a day.
We can get if Dahlia, Edwin, and I all go to split here. Here we can get to the Goblin Fort and down to Vunlar, or meet with you guys in a single day. If we can fly 50 miles a day, because if we do that, that would put us at about 40 miles if we meet here.
Because
Sounds reasonable.
the 2 days are just how fast you need to do it to be in time with the army for the assault.
If it will take you guys if you'll double time and get halfway there, you'll meet right here. So in 1 day, you guys will go 20 miles, 25 miles ish, right? So right there.
25, yeah, right there.
And in 1 day for the same distance, with us taking out the Goblin Fort in one fell swoop, the 3 of us can make it here and here in 1 day.
I don't think there's any point exhausting the troops, so just normal marches would probably be a good idea.
Well, we're going to double march them and then single day march them. Well,
it would be double for the first day, and then they have 2 days to recover at a normal pace.
Yeah, that.
Remember, we might not be, because the Zentam are famous for their intrigue. We might get attacked at any point, so we don't want to be attacked while we're exhausted. We shouldn't just assume our plans would succeed.
It's a small window, and they'd have to go through these hills to get to us from there. The likelihood of that happening I don't see how that logistically could happen unless they all of a sudden open a portal in the middle of our group, at which point we have bigger issues than just like if someone's that powerful of a spellcaster to be able to cast that 9th level spell, we got bigger issues than just the battle ahead.
Yeah,
say
and then
that-
for Voonlar, if they send their forces to us, that's fucking defeating the purpose of defending it. They're just sending all of their forces to the force that's attacking them is fucking retarded. So I doubt they would do that.
Yeah, they wouldn't give up their defensive position.
Because for all they know, a quick change of a direction could be a fake or a feint.
I'm just saying it could be unwise.
I understand the risk, but I think it's worth it for the tactical advantage of getting to Voonlar before they can.
That, and they're also going to be worried about powerful spellcasters that just wiped out the Goblin Fort like it was nothing with Cloud Kill. They'd be really worried about, because it's just outside of Teshwave. With the fucking flick of the wrist, they could send it on all the troops there, pretty much.
I suppose we could also try to make it seem that we're more disorganized than we are, that we're moving more slowly than we wish.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Daggerfalls, like appear that we're unorganized, and then organize up, like speed up once we get to the meeting point.
Like travel at like half speed. Yeah, but
Yeah,
4 days is a long time. Like cutting a whole day is huge.
That gives them time to garrison Teshwave.
Yeah,
Send the
'cause-
garrison from Teshwave to Voonlar.
Yeah, 4 days. They're 4 days from the Goblin Fort to Voonlar.
yeah. Our outriders
Like-
from Daggerfalls to this point needs to be like on point. Because if a scout spots us here, our plan is over.
But the scout, how far then can the scouts go in a day?
Probably much faster than an army.
Yeah. Scouts will act the way you guys do, about 25 miles a day.
Also, though, if the scout does see us crossing the river right here, we're going to have 3 powerful spellcasters that are also going to be right here.
Guess we
Like
could,
you can come up with a way to take
Yeah.
out the scout.
yeah, and I suppose
Even
we
if
could
you just have to drop a fireball on a single scout, like you can do it.
Yeah.
Assuming you see the scout in the first place, in which case they're a shit scout.
I mean,
That
I
is
think
fair.
it might be a good idea to send like a smaller force of like scouts there first to like do some counter spying, and that'll even add credit to like, oh, they're going to send troops down here. They cleared out the scouts.
Do you think the Centaurum scout will be able to beat us to that point, though?
I mean, it's all just about minimizing risk.
Yeah.
So then, like my character, like some of this, maybe some stealth guys, get there like a few days before and just hunt down like the Zentarum scouts in the area. Because the ones in Daggerfalls will see the army and get through. Just that we don't want the ones here reporting back in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'd have an advantage too, I think, because you can ask the birds and whatnot if they've seen any other humans in the area. You might be able to help you find the enemy scouts.
All the extra eyes.
Okay. So when we get to that point, we can send Carrick with a band of scouts while the 3 spellcasters go and fuck up the Goblin Fort.
Like, let's say when the army gets to Daggerfalls, I with the scouts go ahead to clear out the way of like enemy ones. And then when the army
I think
gets
splitting
there,
off
it should be pretty
that soon can go horribly wrong, though. If you know what I mean. I don't know. If you want to send a small group a few days ahead to clear out the scouts, because there's also the issue of Teshwave is going to wonder why the scouts on Tesh Trail haven't come back to them in the last 2 days or whatever.
Well,
you
because they'll
know,
hear from some scouts that an army is coming down that way, and then some scouts go missing. Something's going on.
but the scouts that would be stationed further up than where the army's supposed to be have been taken out. You know what I mean? If you want to, if everyone else wants to send a party from Dagger Falls forward and then ahead of everybody, that's fine by me. It's majority rule.
I
But
suppose, in nature, it's easier to spot scouts than like in a city with 2,000 people in. It's pretty reasonable to say, oh, that one just got through.
yeah, there's a difference of scouts are supposed to report at a certain time. We would disrupt that time if we sent them ahead of the army. If we send your group of scouts forward when we reach this point, as because they can't report on anything new, except for we're right here, unless they start seeing us cross. And right as we're about to start crossing, you send out scouts to hunt for other scouts.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, and then at that point, we're also sending 3 people to the Goblin Fort.
Yeah,
And then
I doubt our cloud kill attack will kill every single creature there, but we don't need to kill them all. We just need to kill most of them.
It'll kill a decent portion, enough to them to be like, what the fuck?
And then when the cloud kill hits, that's just the army must be here. They wouldn't just attack the Goblin Fort with cloud kill and leave. And then that's what we do.
It's halfway taking care of the Goblin Fort and confusing the enemy.
What was that in the Art of War? Like, appear strong where we are weak, and appear weak where we are strong?
Yep. Yeah, so at this point, we're on the move, I guess we'll say, yeah?
I guess we need to get the message through first, then?
I think the message will be clear once we bring our forces through Dagger Falls, and then have some of our people in the pubs, or even us, say, hey, we're going to Dagger Falls. Not Dagger, we're going to Teshwave, or let it slip kind of thing. Let it slip on purpose.
We have to inform Dagger Falls, so we could just send a messenger to the mayor there and just have them, like, be a little too open-mouthed in, like, taverns and things.
Yeah.
And then he delivers the message to the mayor, or whatever they have at Dagger Falls, just say, hey mate, we're moving an army through the city. So I think that's something we need to do before as well.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd be too pleased if we're just like, yeah, we're moving an army today without warning.
Yeah. So we can send our scout boy to Vunlar now to check it out. We can go ahead on to Dagger Falls, while also sending a messenger ahead of us.
Who's the messenger?
It could be any of our scouts.
I guess, get one you trust the most, pull him aside and just tell him to, like, spill the beans in, like, taverns and travelers, like, on the way, that the army's coming through soon.
Yeah. So have him do that. Then they will most likely start sending a message to Teshwave. We will bring our force of 100-ish up through Dagger Falls and go ahead and make our way. Bird Boy can bring back the report on Vunlar when we're already halfway there, basically. Halfway to the part where we'll cross the river. And then it's just dealing with whatever gets on our way until the point where we had to split.
But that's just going to be a very bizarre order, isn't it? It's like, if one of the Dentarm agents tries to bribe you, accept it and give him the information.
Yeah. Or just be blatantly obvious. It's like, hey, so from what I hear, the forces of Castle Daggerdale are going to be the forces of Daggerdale are going to be attacking Teshwave within the next 2 weeks or whatever. You know, it's like I have the message actually notifying the mayor or whatever his name is of Dagger Falls of that right here and all that. So make it blatantly obvious in a bar but not like.
It's like a sealed letter saying, "Oh, we're moving through Daggerfall to like attack the Goblin Fort."
We don't necessarily want it too obvious. So that
Yeah,
they can
not.
then- I almost have like, since the Iron Vultures have a reputation, have them accidentally spill it when they're drunk in the bar.
Yeah.
So like, our scout could just do that for us. Like,
Or, you know what we can also do? Keep the actual plan between us and tell our forces we're going to Teshwave, so they spill it thinking it's true. And then right as we get to this part, just be like, "Hey guys, we're crossing the river now." And they'll be like, "What?"
I mean, I wasn't thinking we were going to tell them up until the point anyway.
Yeah, but spread misinformation so much between our ranks that it gets through to Teshwave.
I suppose if you just send the worst scout as well, like he'll just give out the message in the bar anyway.
Yeah. But are we moving right now?
I think we
Sounds good.
send like the message
Alright.
away today and then move out.
Yeah. Send them like half a
Okay.
day early.
Yeah, sure. And so you send your scouts half a day earlier, and by the time you arrive at the Old Fort Inn, Rex is ready for you. He's got a banquet ready. He's slaughtered a pig and a sheep and a goat, a variety of different meals to make sure that your troops are going to be very well fed. Um, he would like to hear what your plan is. You don't have to go through it in character. Do you tell him what your plan is?
I'd say we'd say what we're
No.
telling our troops.
Yeah,
Just
we go with the.
Yeah.
Teshwave.
I'll feel a little bad about it afterwards, but you know.
It's like, oh, we're attacking Teshwave. Like, we want everyone to know.
Well, this guy, you don't know the background, I don't think, but he's like a good friend of the party, basically. What was he part of the original party?
He was part of the original party and
Yeah.
a retired.
I suppose if you want to let him in, you could just sort of give him like, this is up. We're attacking Teshwave.
Yeah.
But give him like, oh, but don't be too worried about letting people know.
He'd like to join you.
Ooh.
Yep. He wants to come along.
You know what? The thing is, I'm gonna speak for both me and me and Flint here. He's definitely welcome to join because that's what Flint would say. What do you think? What do you think, Dahlia? Was Dahlia gone for the night?
I
Edwin went
accidentally,
a while ago.
accidentally closed the browser
Oh,
window.
I saw his message.
Gotcha. I'm like, wait a sec. Her thing. There it is. Okay.
I'm fine with letting him come along, but does he have any reason to want to fight at Teshwave specifically?
Hates the fucking Zentarum.
Yeah.
Okay, so he'll be fine with us
He's also
going to
he's also a
attack.
Tempest. He's a Tempest worshipper, and so he like relishes the chance to fight. He's been like retired for a month or two now, a couple of months, and he's just itching to burninate people.
Okay, so as long as we throw flesh and metal, Zentarum flesh and metal in his way, he'll be okay.
Absolutely, consider him to be a special operative. Like he's elite, and so if you wanted to give him a special task, he could do that. But he's just as good on the front line of an army as he is as a spy or an infiltrator or something else. He's a dragonborn, by the way. He's a red dragonborn fighter, as I understand it. And so, whatever role you can think for him, he is happy to serve under you.
Yeah.
Would you like him to bring along his 20 kobolds? He's recruited 20 kobolds.
Oh fuck yeah! I would like him to bring his 20 goals. Is anyone else against it?
I'm good with that.
So that makes 121 fighting men. Well, 120 plus us.
Shuts up the Old Fort temporarily, and yeah, he leads his force of 20 kobolds.
Okay. So at this point, has our scout made it to Dagger Falls or no? Or messengers made it to Dagger
Yeah.
Falls? No?
Yep, that will be there before you get there. Yeah.
Okay, so this message was also meant to be a formal thing saying, "Hey, we're taking an army through your city to
Yeah.
attack another city." So
Uh-huh.
even the upper class there don't know what we're planning.
I guess
They
formally they're
think
like,
we're
So,
we're
Tesh Wave.
formally we're like, we're
You
attacking
agreed-
Test Wave.
Yeah.
We're hoping it leaks
We
out.
agreed.
Anyway.
Exactly. You greeted by outriders before you get to Dagger Falls. You know they want a bit of a rundown, but they tell you that when Randall Morn heard of your idea a day ago, he was not happy about it. But nonetheless, you have permission to take your forces through Dagger Falls. It might be just as easy to just go around. It is a walled town after all. But then again, you're probably going to need to stay somewhere. Wherever way you do it, logistically, it doesn't really matter. The point is that Randall Morn wants to speak to you about it.
And I guess it's also just at like we're passing like just through the town. Like, would you want like an army?
Yeah.
Would you want some armed guys just walking through your garden?
Short answer is no. But if you're going to camp anywhere, it's going to be outside the walls anyway. Like because you're going to have to get beer and water and whatever other logistical thing an army is required, prostitutes, whatever it is. The soldiers are going to be happier camping next to Dagger Falls than they will camping 5 miles away where they don't have beer and prostitutes.
And if you do it in the town, people are going to leak what the mission is, and that's what we want.
True, good point too. Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Personally,
All right, so yep.
I'm more than happy to have an audience with Random Warren, but we need to emphasize that we need to ensure that no ears but his will hear our words. So
His and his granddaughters.
we want to make sure it leaks as little as possible.
All right, so there you are.
I'm fine with
Yep.
telling him the actual plan, but as far as he lets his people know, and as far as like he'll know what we're doing, but no one else
Yeah.
will. Like,
So let's assume that you have told him. Yep.
Yeah, but make sure that like what he's telling his underlings and everything is that we're attacking Tesh Wave, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Absolutely. So we'll assume that he knows the full plan at this point, so we don't have to go over it again, since we will go over it again sooner or later. It's him and his granddaughter, and he thinks, "Damn, you're really gonna kick the hornet's nest, then, ain't you? Once you, they gonna blame us too. They gonna blame Dagger Falls. What happens? They send an assassin down here and hits us with some kind of fireball attack, and then teleports away again." Two can play your sabotage game. If you're going to go and kick a hornet's nest, then ain't nothing going to stop them from, I don't know, gating in here with a whole tribe of minotaurs or something.
I mean, like,
There's nothing stopping them now.
Well, the thing that's stopping them is Casus Belli, you see. They don't want to be the start of the instigators. But if we attack them first, it ain't nothing that's going to stop them from doing the same to us.
I mean,
It'd be justified. You know what I mean?
yeah, but they are trespassers in our land, and we must take retribution against them, shall we not? Is that not the way of the Dales?
Our land, Teshwave ain't been one of the Dales since I was a boy. You gonna go and make a war crime of it when all the people that fought in that war are already dead?
Are you saying that justice should just be forgotten because time has passed?
I ain't saying nothing of the sort. I'm saying that you're gonna escalate this thing with this attack.
I just think it's time
This
that
would
Zentara be
also
gone.
this would also force the hand of the other Dales to either. I'm sure the Dales don't like Zentarum, right?
No,
Like
no,
as-
they do not, sir.
Some
And after
something
what
needs.
you did for them, after you went down to Battledale and helped out the Abbey of the Sword, we got them all on side. Maybe the time is right. Perhaps it is. I ain't saying it's not. All I'm saying is, you about to fire the starting cannon. You about to get this all up in the hills. This is going to be the day that the war starts. You see, War begins when you want it to, but it don't end when you ask.
Then we shall have our freedom, then, won't we?
This will be the catalyst for the war, and it's a catalyst that's needed to get everyone to fight together.
Better than cowering for our whole lives.
Yeah, you've seen what happened what has happened for the last 40 years when we just let them have their way, and no one's done anything about it.
Well, if
Something
you're
has to
sure
start
about
somewhere.
this, it seems that y'all seem to be unanimous among this. Hell, I'm in my 70s now. I ain't got much life left in me, but I do worry for my granddaughter here. What if they send ASAS and specifically target her? I would have to blame you for instigating this problem. Do you think that's fair?
Does she not? Do you and your family not have a guard?
Yeah, sure, we got a guard. We got 10 halberdiers. What's 10 halberdiers going to do against a teleporting assassin?
I mean,
I'd say we can at least give them 10 troops from our fort, from Castle Daggerdale, just to supplement her guard.
What's 20 forces going to do against a talented assassin? Well, let me put it this way. Let's take your fine young sorceress here. I've known her for some time now. Miss Dahlia, do you think that 10 common soldiers could stop you if you were able to teleport in with some kind of, I don't know, necromantic death ray?
See, this is why I hate magic.
What if
You're
Bane
absolutely
himself
right.
walked in
Yeah.
here? Like you're being.
Look,
At that,
like,
I'm
that's-
asking Dahlia right now. She's the expert on magic.
I wouldn't call myself an expert, but I'd say that you're right. I think against even a competent spellcaster, 10 ordinary men isn't going to do it.
And doubling the men ain't gonna do it neither. Why, we could have a 24-hour guard watching my daughter, watching her take her baths, and she like blushes at that idea. And it still ain't gonna stop them. Not if they got the magics of the kind of sort that you all are toting around.
at that point,
Debbie, you had something to say?
Yeah, so like with you following your logic, what if Bane himself comes and attacks? Like what's
Well,
to
that's
stop
true.
anything?
Ain't nothing gonna stop him.
Anything that comes with risk. I'd rather not be a coward and just hide behind my walls. I'd rather take the fight to them.
Yeah, but when you take the fight to them, they gonna bring it back to us. They ain't gonna bring that fight
They'll
back
be
to us
busy
until
fighting
they're
with
ready.
us.
well, look at it this way. Whether it's 10, 20, or 100 men, magic of your caliber cannot be stopped. The caliber you're speaking of cannot be stopped, and nothing we can do will prevent that. But with Bane coming back, they are attacking the nearby towns and conquering again. What is to stop? The only thing that is stopping them right now is time, and them deciding to do it. It's whether they make the first step or we do.
You got a good point there. And if you want to be the one to start this fire, if you want to be the attacker, well, as long as you think that we're ready for this, as long as you feel ready for this, I can do my best to look after Dagger Falls. They ain't never had an interest in raising this town. They would have done it by now. It's really my granddaughter that I worry about more than anything else. Assassins, that's my big worry here. And I'll do my best to keep her by my side. Uh, I'll be protecting her as best I can. I just want to have 100% assurance that you are ready for this, that you are ready to kick this thing into the next gear.
Is there any way we can? This is just a general question. Is there any way we can get a Dale Council to commence?
Dale Council
That's
happened just a couple of weeks ago.
Another one, like a war
it
council?
would take way too long.
Yeah, like if he organised it today, then we might be ready in a month.
also, our plan is already in motion. Like, it's already leaked.
Okay.
We're
Yeah.
attacking.
Well, that's true too. We've already begun telling people. All you got to do is look outside. Oh, goddamn soldiers fucking camped on my carrot patch. Yeah, it's either happening or it's being aborted. It's kind of too late to stuff the baby back in the vagina now.
Yeah, I think we can go forward with what we're doing right now, but we're going to need the backing as soon as possible.
But I mean,
We basically need to get word out to the other Dales that the major fighting force, one of the major fighting forces in the region, has started their offensive on the Zentarum, and kind of force their hand into supporting us.
Or into officially withdrawing and declaring official neutrality.
And boom, there's nothing to stop the Zentarum from attacking their homes.
Well, if they're neutral, then they wouldn't. But you're right. But like, you know, if you're neutral, they wouldn't.
I suppose they'd just be subtle about it. They'd just move in and set up like more mafia style like attacks rather than like invading like they're doing here.
What was that,
Oh.
Nubel?
Oh, sorry, what?
What was it that you said about the attacks?
I mean, I was just telling the mayor that like, does he want his like daughter to be like a slave?
Oh hell no, I don't. For 45 years in them hills as a guerrilla warfare, and I wanted a chance to do the same, Granddaddy. Why, I deserve the right to fight too. All right. Look, I'm not against this plan. I'm not completely. No way. Anyway, I just wanna be reassured that y'all feel with 100% certainty that this is the only way forward. And it seems that you are convinced of your own ability. Well, I'll give you my consent to march my armies through my lands to fight my enemies. Y'all here? I just want to know that you ain't got second thoughts about this. Because I do.
I mean, like, well, every day we wait, they get stronger.
Well, they're sure as hell going to get stronger now. They're going to be reinforcements marching down from Ulash as we speak. If I know the Zentarum.
And Cass told me that Hillsfire is uprising again. Like their forces are divided. Well, their attention's divided at the moment, is it not?
That is a good point you got there. Look, I tell you what. I got a little friend up in Teshwave. She's been helping you out a little bit, providing the reports for you. She a harper. Her name is Maressa the Harper of TESHDALE. You get in contact with her at any stage, then she might be able to give you a bit of inside information. Anyway, you already committed yourself to it now. It's too late to back off. I suppose I'm just wasting your time then. Let's drink to our collective victory and the liberation of TESHDALE. It used to be TESHDALE when I was a boy. We can make it TESHDALE again.
And keep this between us. As far as everyone else is concerned, we are on our way to Teshwave.
I forgot. For a minute there, I thought that you were on your way to Teshwave. That's right. Any case, it seems that my memory and lack thereof is only going to be our ally.
I guess because we're doing a toast, you will toast to TESHDALE in case so if someone catches the toast at the end. I guess we'll shout it. So if someone hears it, that might be part of like the league.
To TESHDALE! He yells out the window.
TESHDALE!
To TESHDALE.
Yeehaw! He drinks up. And with nothing more to gather from Dagger Falls, he adds 100 soldiers to your army. He figures that, like, well, what the fuck, right? At this point, you know, we're in for a penny, we're in for a fucking pound. So you might as well take another 100. They're only guards, so they're not the best soldiers. He keeps the best soldiers here, but you can add 100 guards to your force. So they are foot soldiers, so I guess that's goes without saying. Don't you go sacrificing my boys. Yeah, just double your forces.
Yeah, 200 and 220 now. Yeah,
It will take 4 days now Since we
Don't
have
go
foot
using them as no cannon fodder, mind you. I know the parents of each of these men, and I'm going to have to answer for them, man. And roughly a tenth of them are girls, even though he calls them men. Up in places like Dagger Falls, the women fight too.
We'll do everything we can to bring them home.
You had something to say, Carrie?
I say, if we have foot forces now, it will take the 4 days to get from the bridge to Vula.
That is an issue, but I thought we brought foot forces as well. If we brought our full army, then we must have foot soldiers
Okay.
anyway.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so 4
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
I guess we'll get going.
But
All right. So
with double
yeah.
marching, would we be able to make it 3 days?
No, we don't want to double march that much.
No, I'm saying from the point where we get to the bend and on.
Oh yeah.
So
From the crossing.
yeah.
You get 25 miles a day with force march, so yeah, you could make it in 2 days. That's right. Yeah.
We'll do 3 because
Well,
it's 45 along that route. So
1 to right
one
here,
force
and
march.
2, 3.
Yeah.
And then 2 days to just steadily exercise.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
That way we don't exhaust them too much.
Yeah. 10 miles is not that far, and they will be refreshed after marching for 10 miles instead of 25. Yeah. I don't need to explain this. I think so. I'm probably wasting time. But when you do march an army, you have to set up guards and barracks and dig ditches and dig shitholes and all of that sort of stuff. So the marching is only a small amount. When you force march, you just don't bother with that sort of stuff. You don't have defenses. You just risk it. All right.
And
Okay.
for I just wanted to make sure, as just re-emphasizing, we want to tell all of our forces to toast to TESHDALE that night.
Absolutely, and they completely fooled by you fooled your own forces. They are excited to be the liberators of TESHDALE. Yeah, they're looking forward to it.
I mean, it depends how betrayed they feel, actually. Like, they might just, leave us, oh, we can't trust you anymore.
Yeah, there is going to be some challenges.
This will be, a
once
test
you,
of the loyalty,
Yeah, and being chaotic good rather than lawful good troops, they are going to probably either be heard or ask why. They're less likely to just blindly follow you the way soldiers probably should. It doesn't matter. That's a problem for a couple of days away from now. Our leaving Dagger Falls with all the guys have got a belly full of beer and empty ball sacks. They're all pretty stoked to have spent some time in Dagger Falls. You get your report from our friendly neighborhood Tengu samurai. He reports that Vunla has 200 infantry wearing chainmail, 20 mounted knights in heavy armor, presumably plate, 10 mounted priests wearing black gauntlets and carrying wicked black morning stars, a couple of wizards who he describes as wearing pink. Oh wait, you have seen pink wizards before because we hit the sand fort. You might recall that Arazu, the Grand Wizard, wore purple. Purple's reserved for the Grand Wizards. The apprentices wear pink. There's a small force of ogres and monsters, and he means small, like less than 10, and a whole bunch of civilians.
I don't know if we saw the pink robes because they were there for 10 seconds.
Yeah, we
instantly obliterated.
Oh shit! I thought they were white robes, and that was bloodstains. Oh, my mistake.
Just the second they stepped out of the tent, just it's like, and you overkilled.
Because wasn't it Dahlia with the staff of the master?
And Ra's doing his
Yeah.
own fireballs, yeah.
Oh, we thought they were going to be tougher than that.
Yeah. So there you go. 200 infantry, 20 mounted knights, 10 mounted priests, 10 pink wizards, a small force of monsters and ogres. And it's difficult to gauge the population of the town itself because there's only about 500 in town. But during the observation, like he observed it for a day, and it looked like the size of the town doubled or tripled as people came in from the forests and the hills and so on, did their trading and left again.
And I'm saying, on a battlefield. Like
I
my
guess,
character,
yeah.
I think I have silence on the battlefield. I could just shut down their like wizards for some turns.
What was that?
I'm saying I could silence their wizards, like spellcasters.
How's that?
I have silence.
Oh, okay. We could do that, or we can completely fucking obliterate them off the face of the earth like we did last time before they have a chance to do anything.
Yeah, the pink denotes that they're apprentices, which is like low level. Like single fireball may murder them all.
Are they? I guess how powerful are they? Fireball level, or like what level are they at?
Like, we hit them with 2 fireballs at the same time, and they were dead from 1 roll of 1 fireball.
I'm thinking,
The other one was complete overkill. Like, the first one killed them, the second one got rid of their remains.
But their bones bad.
so I guess you didn't get to
Yeah.
study the spell books.
So with the 100, we're pretty even with how powerful our party is, I'd say.
And they don't have a party of high level
I
adventurers.
mean, I would take on that 200 infantry and chain by myself. Let's go.
I'm thinking,
Uh,
I think Raz would be like
True.
the heavy lifter in the battle.
Yeah, when I think about it, and you factor in spells that we have access to, like Fireball, Cloud Kill, etc.,
Yeah.
I feel like we could even just sort of solo that whole army by ourselves. Like not in a straight,
Yeah.
not in a field battle, but I think we could kill that many people
No, I
by
think
ourselves.
I think you,
Minus the mounted priests, those would be the only issue. But other than that,
because there's no walls, they have to come out to faces, and you can just fireball them. There's nothing they can do.
like, I forget how many you can with that staff. But let me do some math here.
You trying to calculate how many fireballs we got in us?
Maybe.
Factor in the ones you can make with sorcery points as well for extra memes.
I can drop 11 on my own.
I do 3 with the
Plus,
staff.
plus the shit that you're doing. And then if I roll high enough, there's my firebolts, which are basically the fireballs at this point. And then you have your staff.
Yeah.
Plus, that's just 2 of us, and that's an ability that your weapons give you. So you have all your other abilities. So it's that what we just calculated, the sheer amount of damage output that would be is me and a staff plus everyone else. It's going to be an absolute slaughter.
Yeah, we'll
Sadly-
see how it
really-
goes. Like, there may be something up their sleeve. Like
they might have
the
something.
priests may have something to them, but we will
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, I think the
issue
best
with
thing.
facing
Go ahead.
Oh, good. Well, the issue with facing that many people, though, is that, sure, we're capable of some pretty insane destructive power, but at the same time, we are only mortal, and if 200 arrows come flying at us at the same time,
That's
Mm.
why
we're
you
still gonna
send me in first.
Yeah. I've got some battlefield rules. I might share them with you so that you are not inadvertently surprised when 200 people hit you with an natural 20 and kill you instantly.
Yeah, I've
With
seen
the what?
I've seen your rules before. They're pretty brutal.
Yeah, that
pretty
changes a lot of stuff.
Basically, if you're caught out in the open and the full unit attacks you, you're pretty much dead unless they miss.
We just need to make sure we don't get hit. Like, that was the issue. That's what happened to whoever had the other thing. Who was our old druid?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
Linda.
yeah. That's what happened to them, but they got caught alone. Everything else with
Mm.
that plan, though, pretty much went flawlessly, except for her getting separated from the group.
Yeah.
but if it's also our units are going to be working like this too.
Yeah.
It's just trying to make sure we kind of even it out.
Yeah, it should also be noted that if I'm understanding it right, we can sort of embed ourselves into units of our troops, and when we do
Yeah.
that, we kind of use their health almost like a buffer for our own. It's like we can't be
Yeah.
individually targeted.
That's correct, except by individuals. So assassins and
Yeah.
mages, but that you're right. That does mitigate you from being caught up by. No, they can't target you with 100 archers if you're part of a group of 100 soldiers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can be considered like company commanders, and each of us, or maybe two to each company, going in and fucking shit up. So we have our force that's going to be basically our meat shields that we're protecting, and they're protecting us at the same time, and we're laying down massive damage where we can. I think that would be great. In fact, I think if we had one ranged and one close range person per, that would be preferable.
Yeah, I think taking command of this army, seeing as the numbers are pretty similar, having a presence there, I think it's going to tip the scale pretty heavily in our favor.
I'd still like to be separate and not in my own unit, just because of how my defenses work.
Yeah,
That's
we're
fine.
going to be at an odd
But,
number
like,
anyways, so
yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with that.
I'll just make sure I've got Revivify ready.
Now just haste me, I'm good. Let's go. No, just kidding. Don't haste me this fight. You focus on protecting you. I'm fine, especially with my new fancy cloak. Like, they're gonna have to get lucky to hit me.
I think I've
It
got
will.
a pretty good idea. I think I'll use my concentration then on control winds to affect a 100-foot cube in front of the enemy archers, so that any arrows they try to shoot through the strong winds have disadvantage.
Absolutely.
So neuter their archers, basically.
Does any of our infantry carry shields or anything like that?
I think it's in the descriptor, isn't it?
No idea.
I thought that their equipment list was listed.
Let me check on that. Maybe in the general one.
It might have them what they're listed as, like scout, for example, and then you'll just have to use the compendium to see what a scout has.
Veteran on riding horse.
Yeah, veterans traditionally have a long sword and a short sword. So no, they don't have shields.
Oh, that's too bad. I was just like picturing like shields and then putting them over their
Locking
heads or
together.
whatever. Yeah.
I mean, do we have iron? I can start working on making a bunch.
Can you make like 100 shields in a day?
I can make with my channel divinity. I can do like 2 easily a day without any short rests. So if I throw short rests, yeah, I could probably throw quite a few out.
Devi just takes a cat nap on a wagon.
Well, no, I don't take part
hour.
in the setting up and breaking down a camp. That saves a lot of time.
I'm saying a short rest is an hour, right? You Debbie's just like takes a piece of iron, makes 2 shields, takes a cat nap, wakes up, takes 2 shields, takes a cat nap, like the entire day. It would be so stupid.
There's a lot of raw iron you'd need, though.
No, I don't even need the war on iron. I just need the coin.
Interesting. Oh yeah, just lay out metal that has a value equal to the creation. It doesn't actually have to be the
Uh-huh.
metal that it's made out of.
Nope.
So
It's a weird ability. I'm not gonna lie.
so technically, you can make 2 an hour, right?
No, it's an hour-long ritual.
Okay, so 2 every 2 hours,
2 every 3.
2 every 3 hours. Okay.
I think that's too slow to be worth doing.
Yeah. Yes, I don't think it's worth it to do it, but it was
Yeah,
just.
who's off?
But yeah. So we're still moving on. We keep moving on.
We are. I've been making up a battle map during this time. Okay, so we keep moving on. I'll zoom back in. And inevitably, their scouts do spot us. The Tengu report, he's probably still with us, or do we send him back to the fortress?
Who?
The Tengu, the birdman.
He could be helpful when
Um.
we get to the crossing to have come with me and kill the other scouts, so they can't report our plan.
Yeah.
Right. So you want him to kill the scouts and not to let them go, so
These
that
ones.
they
When we
you
get to
want
the
you want him to
bend.
kill later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say
So we want the scouts, the enemy scouts, steady report of what we're
Yeah.
doing until we get right here.
All right, so that was going to be my
Then-
next question. When he spots the scouts, you want him to let them go, and you do. So he obeys without question. He's pretty much the only soldier who does obey without question. And so while it would be easy for him to kill the scouts with bow or sword, he follows your orders and lets them go.
and when we get here, we start killing the scouts. We don't want anyone to escape now.
Yeah, from right here, as right before we start crossing is when you want to go scout hunting.
So I guess I move ahead, and I guess me and Bird Boy, we start killing scouts.
Perfect.
So Devi, since they're going scout hunting, you're building the bridge.
You arrive
Oh,
at
yeah,
the bridge. You arrive at the would-be bridge at day 6.
Day 6, okay. And
Anything
now
exciting happen up until then?
Only you get scouts that that you witness, but you let them kill that.
Gotcha. Where is my character sheet?
and then also
Oh, there.
simultaneously, we would be having Edwin, if he was still here, perform polymorph on Dahlia. I would perform polymorph on myself, and he'd be shape, and we'd all fly to the Goblin Fort.
All right, so you're hitting the Goblin Fort in Tashwave at the same time.
At the same time that they're building the bridge, yes.
So it's like the day before.
Well, we depart, but as soon as we get there, we're going to hit the Goblin Fort, and then we're going to immediately retreat and try to meet our forces halfway.
All right, I'll finish what I'm doing very briefly, and I'll get back to the right map.
Because in a day, we should be able to get there and meet them where they will be in a day of hard riding, which is here. Because that's 25 miles.
I guess the idea it all adds to the deception. It's like, oh, the scouts from Daggerfall say an army's coming. The scouts along the trail say an army's coming. The Goblin Fort got attacked yesterday, and then Vunlar gets taken.
2 days later, and the whole time they're wondering what the hell's going on.
It all hinges on like stopping the scouts from the bridge getting out.
Yeah. And I'm sure from the hills, I want to make sure that the bridge is dismantled by the time anyone checks. So get our forces over and then destroy the bridge.
Which way does the water
Basically, it would
The
be
water
this
flows
way.
from the hills, yes, from west to east.
flow? So if we destroy the bridge, the wood would pass by Teshway.
Well, would it be stone or wood?
Has
The
to be
Elven Bridge
wood,
is stone. The
stone.
Elven Bridge?
The one we make.
The one we're making.
The one you made. Oh, the one you're making.
Ideally stone. Because then it would
It has to be wood. Stone has a smaller restriction, so I can't make it as big.
Alternatively, we can run line across the gap and send the people, like have one person swim across, secure it on the other side, and then send, or do that with 2 or 3 ropes, and then just send the horses and people over holding onto the ropes.
How many 4th level spell slots do you have?
I only have one, unfortunately.
Doing that would get rid of the chance that wood would go down the river, which it doesn't really matter if it does anyways.
The thing is, I think if anyone comes across the bridge in that time, it'll be too late.
Yeah.
So do you guys think the use a few ropes, tie them across, and go over line by line? I could pull up a scene if y'all want to see exactly what I'm talking about from an anime.
That's gonna take longer than me just making a wooden bridge 10 feet across.
Okay.
Like
It's a
there's-
30 foot. At the minimum, it's 30 feet. If that is, I don't think that affects your plans, but I thought I'd point that out.
oh, it's 30 feet.
Minimum, yeah. It's 100 feet at its widest. It's 30 feet at its narrowest.
I'll just make a ferry boat.
What about wall of stone, like horizontally?
The druid is a little bit concerned about the environmental impact, but he devises a way for the fish to get from one side to the other, and the beavers and I don't know, platypuses, I don't know, whatever. But yeah, no, but he is able to do that. Yeah, I think he can make like 100 foot of stone, can't he? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But so instead of
So
How
yeah,
long-
so
How long does
Yeah.
he have to concentrate before it becomes permanent?
he doesn't want it to be permanent anyway. But I don't
Yeah.
know the answer to that, but he wouldn't want it to be permanent. It
Well,
would
well,
affect
it's
the environment.
how long is he holding the spell before it ends up being stuck as permanent is more the question.
Or does
Good
he have,
question.
does
I'll
he have
check it out.
choice with that? I'm not sure.
10 minutes?
Yeah,
if
no,
that's-
Wall of stone. Flesh of stone. Wall of stone. Read through it. Non-magical. Wall cuts any shape you desire. 20 feet. If you create a span greater than 20 feet of length, you must halve the size of each panel to create supports. That's fine. He can still do. He's still going to be able to do enough. If you maintain your concentration for the entire duration, which is 10 minutes, it will become permanent and can't be dispelled. So if he does it, it's a permanent bridge. And he'll do it. He's able to, as I said, engineer it so that the fish are able to get from one side to another. It's not going to create a dam. It's going to create a bridge. It just depends on whether we want a permanent bridge or not.
You can always just come back and destroy it later.
Or I could use fabricate on it afterwards to make a statue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, turn it into a stone statue.
Yeah,
Yep.
just cover it up on the other side. So to make it look like it's just a statue that's been there that no one realized was ever there, and
Just-
never a bridge.
Can you just turn the bridge into like raw materials using fabricate?
Or you can just turn it into a boulder on the other side.
Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
Uh,
So he does that. He creates a bridge.
okay, and the second he's done with that, we're going to leave it to y'all and carry on.
It goes
Oh.
down in history known as the Druid Bridge.
the
But
bridge
it's
of one
gone.
day or whatever.
Yeah, the 1 day bridge.
Yeah.
The One Day Bridge. I like that one. Yeah, One
Yeah.
Day Bridge.
I turned it into like
It's actually
a little,
pretty cool sounding. Like that could be in a lore book somewhere.
I turned it into
Exactly
a god
right.
died
Yeah.
altar. It's fine.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's like upon the siege of Hular, the 1 day bridge was constructed.
Exactly.
And subsequently removed.
Yeah.
And it was actually a 10-minute bridge, but history forgot that detail.
Yeah.
Right.
Like just one of the footnotes is just like magic is bullshit.
Ha! Magic is full
is
bullshit.
bullshit.
So, to the best of our knowledge, have the counter scouts killed all the scouts that would report?
To the best of our knowledge,
Okay.
I mean, do you doubt the Drake Seeker?
And
that silence hurts more than a little bit.
wait. Let's emphasize that since I didn't think it through before answering. The scouts that we discover are on horseback and have mastiffs. How do you deal with them?
I mean, I've got plant growth and speak with that plant, so I can probably find them and then basically stop them moving while being able to move through it, and then I guess that's how I catch up and kill them.
Sure. Well, I'll give them a single saving throw, and if they pass the saving throw, they survive, and if they don't, they fail. But if they don't, they're dead. So what's the DC?
Yeah.
What's your
Plant
spell
growth?
DC? 14?
It is 14.
Oh, a scout gets away.
I also want to
Camp
point
will
out
take
that we
care
didn't
of-
start crossing
Now?
until we sent the people and then started crossing. So we went scout hunting to make sure no one saw, and then crossed.
Yep, sure. Yep. Nonetheless, the scout does get away. Now, do we have anything that travels faster than a horse on the southern side?
Is flying faster than a horse?
Sure is.
Well, then can't Mr. Samurai go get him?
Sure does, and he delights in he delights in the ability to kill these people.
Well, I guess like
Yeah.
that's the
I
reason we
see
went
that you
together.
are. Yeah, that's how it works. You were saying, sorry, Karen?
I was saying that's the reason we went together. I guess with the samurai, like me and the samurai went, because together
Yeah,
we work together to make
precisely.
sure like.
Yeah. So, to the best of our knowledge, no word of our crossing has gotten out yet. When they find out that the Goblin Fort's been attacked and then go to fight the opposing force that's not there. Then there's also rolling hills that'll block line of view from the Goblin Fort. So
The only
it's going
thing
splendid.
that we can't really account for is divination from those pink wizards.
Would divination be a problem from low-level wizards?
We're not sure, like, because you said they're apprentices, we don't know their skill, but there's literally nothing we can do about that.
Yeah, so like, while it's a concern, there's nothing you have to counter it anyway. So it becomes less of a concern by virtue of the fact that you can't stop it. Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing we can do against divination, like, unless we go out and get like 500 knaves eye patches for like everyone in the army, and at that point, like, we'd have enough money to hoard the entire like map with peasants.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only issues we would be experiencing so far is the unpreventable ones. It's basically the thing.
Just Bane comes down and seizes blasts
Yeah.
off the maps.
Bane just fucking fucking lands right in front of the army.
Time to
That's
fight
it.
God.
I would physically shit my pants from my seat right now if you said Bane just hero lands in front of the army.
Right, we'll save that for a grander battle than the salvation of Teshwave. Yeah, you don't care that much.
That would be hilarious, though.
It's only a mild setback.
Go ahead and attack Central Keep, and maybe that'll happen.
So are we going to let the entire army get through what they're going to be doing in the day, and then we're going to go over what we're doing at the same time? And
I guess
when
we
we
put
get
down
back.
another like marker to signify like split party.
Yeah. So we know who is going with which group, don't we?
Yeah, we have Dahlia, Roz, and Edwin are the Goblin Force Strike Force.
All right. Okay. Well, with only minutes to go. There's no real way of us getting started on any of the major. Actually, that's not true. We can hit the Goblin Fort if we have a plan. All right. So the other three of you, is that what you're doing? You are just going straight for the throat, or do you have a plan to gather intelligence or something else within the town?
I think as far as the Goblin Fort, we're just cloud killing it and then dipping out.
Essentially, I don't think we're planning to do much more than just
Yeah.
utterly decimate its defenders with Cloud
Yeah.
Kill.
All right. So switching between the two maps, I'll go back to the Tushwave map. The easiest way to approach would be to come from the south or the east. There's not much in the way of protection down there. They don't have guards guarding the Goblin Fort. They just don't care about it that much. Turns out that in addition to the Goblin Fort, there is also a Knoll Pit, and that sort of explains that for you. If we go back to the map now, you'll have some idea of what it looks like once again.
Oh, it has wheels. Just push it off a map, cliff or something.
I mean, that's wood, right?
The Goblin Fort is wood. That's right.
Ooh.
Vulnerability is flammable.
There we go. Someone caught my drift.
So, talking about
Hear
drift,
the
you
excitement.
could put the cloud kill like on the bottom floor and fireball the upper floors.
Yeah.
No. You fireball like the lower middle. That way
I
the
was
fire
thinking-
carries up.
Yeah. I'm thinking like fireball it and cone of fire.
Just don't use too many resources.
Huh?
Cone of fire is
Well,
also a bit closer range.
yeah.
And also, I'll stop talking and not
Cloud
here.
kill.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We could
like,
technically. What are you saying?
just like the range of fireball and whatnot. How far can you shoot it?
120.
100 feet, 120, 120.
120. What's the range of cloud kill? 120 as well. We could technically do a regular cloud kill, and then I can turn it into fire. If we both cast, well, if I can, what 5th level spell? Let me see.
Can you? don't think
I
you
have
can
2 5th
convert
level spell
poison.
slots. Poison, can it be? Hold on.
I think it's elemental damage. I don't think poison counts as elemental damage. I think it's just fire,
Yeah,
cold,
it's
lightning,
acid,
or
cold, fire, lightning, poison, or thunder.
oh, poison it is included. Interesting. So it's a cloud of fire gas. That's that's bizarre.
Thermite. Yeah, we're basically. I want to cloud kill and then thermite them.
Interesting.
Because I can cast 2 5th level spells. Both of them will be 2 different variations of cloud kill. One's poison damage, and then one's to burn down the house. So one's to damage everyone inside, one's to damage everyone inside and burn down the house. So 2 high damage attacks.
Right. And I'll use control winds to make sure the cloud lingers on the fort and doesn't just blow away.
I'm going to be getting rid of immolation for this.
Yeah,
I want to say that
you must have
we already
prepared,
did.
Yeah. Well then, we can do this without getting very close to the wall, I'm pretty sure. Because with
Yeah.
distance spell, I can cast control winds up to 600 feet away. So what I would suggest is we go like downwind of the fort, so that the cloud will naturally go that way anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And
mean
then
upwind
once it
for it?
reaches the fort, I'll cast control winds from 600 feet away, and to cause a downdraft to keep the cloud in place.
Yep. I'm also. Is cloud kill isn't concentration, is it? Let me see.
It is.
It is.
Yeah. 10 minutes.
Concentration up to 10 minutes. Okay.
I mean, isn't that good for you, so that you can just cast a spell once and just move about and kill everyone?
Yeah, that's the thing with control winds. I can keep modifying it to blow in different directions. So if the cloud looks like it's going to escape, I can blow it the other way.
Yeah, I was just wondering how I would get out of there, and I was thinking greater invisibility, but I won't be able to do both. So I just have to avoid being attacked for 10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Well, we'll be 600 feet away from the fort, which is far beyond.
Oh yeah,
longer
you can push my cloud, right? So I can
Yeah, if I
cast
wanted-
it, and then you could just push it.
Yeah. Medium strength wind from that way. So if we were to be like 600 feet over here, cast cloud kill, let it drift towards the fort, and then when it reaches the fort, I'll cast control winds and just keep it there. And after 10 minutes, I seriously doubt anybody's still going to be alive.
And then we're going to hit it again to try to destroy the fort and anyone inside with fire.
Yeah. Yeah, just to be extra thorough.
Yeah. Just completely demolish the goblin fort.
All right. So, if you're ready for this plan, we can enact it now so that it begins at the start of the next session.
Yeah, I think we're good. So we'll be like
Roll.
here,
Yep.
600
Yep.
feet away.
Put yourselves on the map, and we'll roll for initiative because you are under attack.
Oh, that's not good.
As soon as we get in there?
As soon as we get in there, I will launch the initial attack since we'll be targeting Dahlia. They'll recognise the attacker is smart enough to know. You get the cloud kill off, and so you're able to cast the cloud. But as it starts drifting towards, because as you said, you started 600 feet away, so it gives them enough time before the cloud arrives. I might change the dimensions on this map to represent the fact that you're 600 feet away.
Are we 600 feet away? Because we said
Is that what you said?
we can push
Yeah.
it up to 600 feet. Are we going to be 600 feet away from it?
Yeah, because I can cast the controls wind spell from 600 feet away. So we don't need to be any closer than that.
So that was Dahlia's plan. Yep, cool. We'll go with that. So that's roughly right. I might move yourself just a little bit forward, but that's pretty much on track.
Mm-hmm.
I'll make the arrows probably a little bit inconveniently
I guess
large.
Edwin is here as well, I believe.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll ask him, but that does make sense. Something like that. Okay, you are both hit by an invisible attacker, presumably Edwin as well, but we'll worry about that later. You are both hit by an invisible attacker. Make Constitution saves. Make the Constitution saves for concentration afterwards, but first make a Constitution save.
I'm going to reroll that.
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, I didn't roll initiative. Sorry.
Yeah, that's cool. You can roll initiative now, but the attack comes before you see it coming because it's an invisible attack.
Okay.
Cone of cold.
Ouch.
Yeah. So if you pass, you take half damage. If you fail, then you take full damage. In either case, if you've got a concentration spell going, you need to work on that. And in the sky appears what seems to be a red-skinned horned ogre dressed as a samurai.
Oh dear.
Oh, neat.
What the hell is that?
It's an Oni.
You know what it is, Debbie? Yeah, I thought you knew what it was. They call them ogre
Oni,
mages.
oh my. It's an Oni.
A demon?
They call them ogre mages, but yeah, not far off from a demon. Not far.
He's in the sky
Alright.
behind us.
He is in the sky, above you, behind you, something like that.
You
Yeah,
guys
within
can take
range of cone of cold, obviously.
60 feet.
Right, so
Yeah.
I'll mark that he's 60 feet above me.
Bastard.
Roger that. Did your spell fail?
Raz was the one casting Cloud Kill.
We haven't cast
Oh,
it.
well, he did. Then he didn't cast it until you cast it. So
Oh,
when
okay.
you yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I did a 23 con save.
Was that on your But that was to avoid the damage from the cloud kill.
Oh, okay.
So
You
the
gotta see whether
DC
you
is
lose.
18. So the DC will be 10. DC 10.
You gotta see whether you lose the Cloud Kill.
Exactly.
Oh,
You maintain strength, and we shall leave it there. Although next week's round, unless Edwin beats him, shall begin with Searophus making the first attack.
do I need to roll my cloud kill, or so we know that?
It hasn't hit yet, so there's no need. No, we've still got
Okay.
to blow it in the right direction. You're gonna have to maintain a hell of a lot more concentration checks before it hits.
How fast will this move?
Not very fast. Let's have a look. I think it says so.
Suppose we should say
So
goodbye
we're-
to the internet on the cliffhanger.
Goodbye,
Yeah,
internet. See
goodbye,
you all in a
internet.
week's time.
Never split the party.